So just say when you're going live,
All
like
right,
three,
we are
two, one, something like that.
we are live. We're in. Oh my god. Okay, we are live. Hi guys, everyone. This is Armin Navabi. We are live on Atheist Republic with Zeek Arkham, and we also have Murray Isabella co-hosting. This is an honor to have you, Zeek. Thank you so much, and also Murray. Thank you so much for being here, co-hosting the space. By the way, for people who can't see, this is the space that we have right now. There are people here listening to us. Okay, Zeek, can you tell our audience who you are and what you work on and the things that you believe in and the things that you fight for people who might not know you?
Yeah, sure. This is Zeek Arkham, the original cop with attitude. I am a patriot. I love American values. I'm a husband to one. I always like when people say that, husband to one, because I never understand what they're talking about. I'm a father to a beautiful baby girl, and I've got about 19 years in law enforcement, and I'm all about American values.
Okay, what does it? Okay, fantastic. You are also very controversial, right? You have stood for things that made a lot of people angry. What does that mean? Why is it standing for American values? What does that mean from your perspective, and why does that upset a whole bunch of people?
Because I don't pull punches. I don't think I'm controversial. I think I just say things how they're supposed to be said. I don't try to think about people's feelings. Facts don't care about feelings. So if facts bother you, then that sounds like a you problem.
What are some of the facts that gets the most reaction when you actually point them out?
Probably, I talk about a lot of racial issues. I talk about a lot of things as far as Black folks and a lot of self-inflicted pain they're doing to themselves. I don't really try to think about their feelings per se. So I just say what needs to be said. You know, it's not a matter of trying to coddle people. It's not a matter of trying to give out hugs and warm fuzzies. I just say what needs to be said.
Right. And these days, I've noticed that you also took some position, because it's from somebody like you, it's pretty understandable why some people from the left, especially from the woke left or from far left, I don't know what you want to call them, that traditionally the things that you say makes them upset. People who are traditionally support Islamic values, that's something, it's understandable why they get upset. But recently, by recently I mean after October 7th, we're noticing a new movement on the right, which some people call the woke right, take some positions that are backwards and against American values, against Israel, against the Jews. Would you agree with that? That we're noticing a huge rise of backward values and positions from the right as well that we need to stand up against?
I think so. I think the message has just kind of been muddied. I think a lot of people on the far right have their positions. I think, excuse me. I think they get their facts wrong. I think people like Candace Owens are very confused, and I used to really admire Candace Owens, but not so much anymore. But I think that I think they've got their message muddied. And I think to them they're trying to say the cool thing. They're trying to say something that makes them sound controversial on purpose. I don't think the truth is controversial, but I think when people try to directly take unpopular stances to try to be controversial, I think that confuses everything. Sorry. I'm hearing a lot of. I'm not feeling a lot of feedback in my mic. It's distracting.
Okay. Let me see if I could fix that for you. Maybe would you be able to mute my tab on StreamYard? If you mute the tab on StreamYard, I think that might fix it. So you
I think I'm already muted.
You already muted the tab on StreamYard?
Here we go. Let's try that. No. I don't know. Like I as I speak, I'm hearing myself like a second or two behind, so it's real distracting.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, you got to sort that out.
Yeah. So
it'll drive
you
you mad.
what?
It really is that terrible.
Okay, let me see.
Like I'm good on interviews, but I'm not that good.
If you could figure out a way to disconnect the audio from the phone to your headset, that would fix it. Because
I did that.
Oh, you did that? So why are you
It's
hearing?
going straight into my headphones.
Okay, it's strange that you're hearing yourself twice when you're speaking. I don't know why. I have no idea how to fix that. Do you want to?
It happens occasionally that there's a delay, and sometimes you actually, to get rid of it, may just need to leave the space and come back. It could just be a glitch on your end as well.
Zeek, the only audio that you're the only input to your audio is from the space right now, right? Not from StreamYard and not from YouTube, correct?
From YouTube, I'm not on YouTube.
Okay, so if you're not getting any audio from StreamYard and you're only getting audio from space, then I have no idea why you're getting an echo. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're only getting your audio from space, then you shouldn't be getting any echo. Let me see.
Yeah, that was why I was kind of wondering if perhaps it was a space issue.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to continue, or do you want to spend time figuring it out?
I mean, should I sign out and sign back in, or what?
Okay, maybe you want to try that. Sure, sounds good. Maybe we could hear Murray speaking while we figure that out. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you? I guess it's good to actually hear your voice and officially meet you, even though we've chatted.
Yeah. Yeah, you too. I hope that we get to do a whole bunch of more projects like this with each other.
Testing.
Oh, here we go. He's back.
All right. Wait, before I bring you back on StreamYard, Zeek, are you hearing any echo right now?
Okay, can you? Yeah, I'm hearing it. There's like a delay. There's like a 2-second delay.
Okay,
So
I don't
like a second delay.
Problem?
What was that?
I don't even have you up on StreamYard, so I don't know why would you hear an echo.
I just signed back into StreamYard.
Yeah, but I don't have you up, so that means that.
That's why I'm wondering if could it potentially be the platform here, the space itself? Could it be glitching and you need to just leave and come back? That's what I'm wondering. I know you have other stuff going on your end, but could it be a space issue?
Or how about
you want me to? Should I leave the space?
No, maybe no. Zeek, how about you leave StreamYard? How about you leave StreamYard for a second and just stay on space and speak on space without being on StreamYard at all? See if it fixes that, and then maybe we could bring it back. If that doesn't, just leave StreamYard.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Test each thing one at a time.
Okay. How about now? Can you
testing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Do you hear an echo?
Okay, but no, I can't hear you on here.
Oh.
Oopsies. Look, you gotta find the humor somewhere, you know? All right.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. And do you hear any echo?
Do you hear the
No, I'm not hearing the echo. So it was StreamYard.
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll just do it. We'll just do it without your video. How about that?
Sounds good.
I mean, you could always try bringing it back up and see if it's still there, and if it isn't, then go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the difference. I think. Hold on. Hey, can you let him know the listeners are hearing an echo too? At least I am. I requested to speak to tell him, but they don't know me. So my homegirl Caroline, conservative Carolina girl said that the listeners are hearing an echo as well.
Oh, really?
So it was definitely StreamYard.
Okay, but my okay on StreamYard. Okay, so let's just continue then. But on YouTube, guys, you guys are okay. The audio is okay on YouTube. Oh yeah.
I assume so. I'm not.
Yeah. I'm asking my live chat on my YouTube channel. Okay, I think people are okay. So let's just continue. All right. So you're okay? Can I continue with the questions?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go for it.
Okay, fantastic. So can you tell me, like, one of the why this new movement on the woke right? Like, you're saying that they say it just to be controversial, right? But when people say these
Okay,
things,
so here's what I think. I think a lot of the woke right are just anti-Israel. I think a lot of them are just, they see Israel as something that would be good for them to be against. I don't know why, but I think a lot of them they see it as something to be against. And I think the woke left, they just want to be so, with I go back to Marxism with the whole thing. You're either the oppressed or the oppressor, and they can't see Israel as the oppressed, so they have to go, as the oppressed. So they see Palestine as the oppressed, or Gaza as the oppressed, and they go after that. I think there's a bunch of miscommunication. I think there's a bunch of misinformation. Like I was saying, I used to have a ton of respect for Candace Owens, and she kind of fell off the deep end. So I don't know what's going on with that. Like I said to you before, I honestly, I'm not the authority on that. I really don't know. I just go by what I see. What I see is that I don't think Israel has ever initiated any sort of conflict with Gaza. Like I said, I could be wrong on that. I think Israel just wants to live in peace, and everything that they've done has just been retaliatory. It would be like if someone is 120 pounds and comes up to me and punches me in the face. Am I going to hit them back? Probably. Am I going to hit them back harder? Probably. But whose fault was it that this entire fight started? For me, that's what I'm seeing. When I say I stand with Israel, I stand with people protecting and defending themselves. If people just want to live in peace and want to be left alone, I'm for that. And if you have another nation, especially one that's backed by a bona fide terrorist group like Hamas, bothering them and picking fights with them, I'm all for people standing up for and defending themselves, and that's basically just where it goes.
Yeah, here's the thing, Zeke. I think, and you let me know what you think about this. I think it has nothing to do with Gaza. I think on the left, this is about being anti-imperialism, and by anti-imperialism, they mean anti-white, and anything that is connected to Western powers, which makes Israel is included. They would be the enemy of that, and anybody who is fighting against people who are not white, the white people would be the evil ones, and the other people would be the good people. That's why. So the Gaza situation is just an excuse for another war that they have in mind. And when it comes to the woke right, again, that has nothing to do with Gaza either. That's more from anti-Jewish racism. And they see they see the Jewish people and Israel, not the oppressors of Gaza. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. They see that them as the oppressors of the West. They see Jews and Israel as this great force of evil that historically just brings down empires, and they are a jealous bunch who want to destroy everything in their path except themselves. And they're scheming bunch of people that just infiltrates everywhere, and they have their tentacles everywhere, and from behind the scenes they manipulate things, and they destroy families, and they destroy any power that is not their power. So it's more of an anti-Jewish mindset that sees Jews being anti-Western. So it's very interesting because the woke left are anti-Israel because they see it as Western, but the woke right is anti-Israel because they see Israel as anti-Western. That's how I see it. So they're coming at it from opposite sides. What do you think?
Could be. I don't pretend to try to understand extremism on either side, whether it's left or right. I see myself as more. I'm not going to lie and say I'm right of center. I think I'm pretty firmly right, but I don't think I'm extremist in my views, and if anything, I try to not be that way. So I don't pretend to understand them. I don't pretend to understand their ideologies or why they're having an issue with any of it. I see what I see, and I form an opinion based on what I see. Even with a lot of these protests that are going on, it's not the Israeli side who are attacking cops and attacking people and riding out in the street and trying to take over different places. You know, the people who are doing it are all waving Palestine flags. You know, so you know, it's just I go by just based off of what I see, and I'm just trying to see it. You know, I'm just trying to explain my view, I guess.
So, from your view, why is it so obvious from you for you that Israel is on the right side of all this?
Well, it's like I said. It just seems like they want to be left alone. I don't see Israel attacking anyone else. It seems always like they're the ones being attacked. And like I said, I could be wrong. I could be it could have been that Israel initiated some attack somewhere. You know, I don't know. But like I said, if someone who is 150 pounds comes up to me and punches me, and I hit them back, you know, I'm gonna hit them back. And you know, am I now excoriated because I protected myself and defended myself? You know, so to me, it just turns into one of those situations.
Right. And why? So what would you tell to the people from the right who say that this is none of our business? We should be America first. Why are we even involved in other countries beyond our borders? Why are we supporting another country? We should be focusing on building our own nation. How would you respond to that?
Well, I do think we should be America first always. My allegiance is always to this country. Do I think we should be going above and beyond to help Israel? You know, I think we should. They're our ally in that region, and I think we should look out for them as much as we can. But as far as going above and beyond, I'm against that. You know, it's almost like, hey, you know, if you have a buddy who needs something, you help him out when you can. But you know, I'm not about going above and beyond. I think Israel has more than enough capabilities to protect itself. And I'm all for that. I mean, I also understand the economics of it as well. I do understand that America is also in a business relationship with Israel, and there are things that benefit us financially as far as our dealings with Israel, as far as you know, weapons sales and things like that. Like I said, I'm honestly, I'm not the authority on it. I could be wrong. I'm always open to hearing from other people. I do have a friend who I've known for a long time who is Middle Eastern, and he's said a couple things to me, some of which I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, and a couple things, you know, I'm just like, well, I disagree with that. But as far as, I'm always America first. I'm always a patriot first. I always think that America should be looking out for its best interest first and always. And I don't think we should be overextending ourselves by any means to help out any foreign nation when we have people here, when we have bona fide security issues here. So that's always what I'm about.
But okay, so I know that you're always open to form your opinions about this. That's really good that you're open-minded to be corrected, and that's why we're having these discussions, right? So let me give this perspective and see what you think about this, right? You think America shouldn't go above and beyond to support Israel? Like, you could support Israel because they're an ally, but not above and beyond. But what if your friend, your ally, has gone above and beyond to kill your enemies, right? The enemies that if it wasn't fighting, you would have to be fighting. If Israel is going above and beyond to kill the people who wish you harm, who wish America harm, then wouldn't it make sense to then go above and beyond to support such a friend?
I'm not understanding your question. If I have a friend who is going above and beyond.
Yeah, you have a friend that is going above and beyond to kill your enemies, to kill the people who want to kill you, right? From that perspective, okay, wouldn't it then make sense for you to go above and beyond to support that friend?
I mean, like I said, I think you're conflating some of the wrong things. Like I said, I support Israel completely. Okay. I think that they should be allowed to protect themselves. I think they should be allowed to protect their borders. I think they should be allowed to protect their people, and if they are attacked, I believe that they should be allowed to do whatever they have to do in order to neutralize that attack. However, like I said, I think America should be limiting its involvement in what's going on over there, unless they can describe exactly how this affects Americans. If this is World War III about to break out, then yeah, we should be involved in it in order to stop World War III and maintain peace. If this is an attack on American assets, then yeah, we should be protecting our assets. However, I don't think we should be getting involved just because it's Israel. Like I said, as much as I support Israel, I don't think we should be getting involved just to support Israel.
Yeah, I mean, we mostly agree. So I'm not trying to I'm just trying to go into the details to see how we think about this, right? So you're saying like if we want to support Israel more, we have to see how this benefit America, which makes a lot of sense as Americans, especially with somebody who believes in America first. Then yeah, if you as an American want to support the politicians who are supporting another country, you have to see exactly how that benefits America. That makes a lot of sense, right? So it's
like what happened in Ukraine. It's like what happened in Ukraine. Why are we getting involved in this? Like that was always my question. Why are we getting involved in this whole thing with Ukraine? But and Biden basically giving Zelensky a blank check every other month was why? When we have things going on here, why? So my thing is, Israel, like I said, I support them. I want them to do their thing. I want them to protect themselves. But can anyone explain to me how this directly affects Americans? So excuse me. So that's always just been my question. If Trump is able to sit down and actually explain how this benefits Americans, I'm willing to listen. If he's willing to sit down and say, hey, listen, we have assets in that area that we have to protect, or we have, we have an embassy over there we need to protect, or this could destabilize this or whatever, I'm willing to listen. But, like I said, there has to be a reason. I don't think we should be getting involved in any international conflict, just because it's someone else, just because it's this person and we like them. I have questions. That's all.
Okay, so can I make an attempt to answer that question? Would you be interested in?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So as an Iranian myself, right? Because the main enemy of Israel is the Islamic Republic, which is right now the occupying force in my country, right? Which is the government, right there in Iran. They are basically behind all supporting and funding and training all the different proxy groups, the terrorist groups that attack Israel, from Kata'ib Hezbollah, Hashd Shabi, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, Zainabiyun, all of them, right? So basically, these are just the different tentacles of the same beast, which is right now residing in Tehran. So that's what Israel is fighting. So given that the enemy of Israel is Islamic Republic, I think I could explain to you why that enemy is fighting Israel, because Israel is in the way of that monster and the United States. That monster, the Islamic Republic, the goal that it has is to come for the United States, but Israel is in its path. It's in the way. And I know this because I grew up most of my life in Iran. We were told constantly through in school and on media and on television that Israel is the little Satan and the US is the big Satan, and we will one day annihilate the little Satan so that we could go to the big Satan. And also, I mean, I'm not going to go through a historical explanation for you right now because that might take a long time, but I could basically explain exactly to you why the Islamic forces coming from Iran, they took out the Pahlavi dynasty first. That was phase 1 of the plan, to take over Iran. Phase 2 was to take out Israel so that they could take out the Middle East. And eventually their goal is to create a powerful Islamic bloc in the Middle East to create a force against the United States, the entire Western world, with the United States as a leader. So the reason why those plans have not they haven't succeeded in those plans is because Israel was the little country in the Middle East that stopped every single time that anybody had this plan. The first time some people had this plan were the Pan-Arabists. Israel stopped them. And then after the second time somebody had this plan, it was the Sunni Caliphate plan with the Muslim Brotherhood, and Israel stopped them. And now the third time is the Shia Imamate, which is by the mullahs in Tehran, and Israel now is in the process of stopping that. So when you support Israel, you're actually supporting the United States, because Israel is standing in the way of United States enemies getting to United States. That's the reason why supporting Israel is supporting the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I mean, like I said, something I'm always willing to listen to and hear.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. So, yeah, I mean, that makes a great point. Listen, I'm all for stopping terrorism. Let's stop terrorism at its roots. So if supporting Israel can help with that, then I'm all for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's actually the most cost-effective way of destroying United States enemies, because every time an Israeli soldier is in a battlefield somewhere shooting at somebody, that's if that Israeli soldier was not there, it would have had to be an American soldier there instead. Every Israeli soldier that is dying, he or she is dying in place of an American soldier that is now alive. So a lot of people on the woke right think that Israel is dragging United States into wars, but it's actually the opposite. Without Israel, United States would have been involved in so much more wars. So people who want United States to not be involved in any wars, yeah, well, supporting Israel is the best way for United States not to be involved in more wars, because Israel is paying the heavy price instead of America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like I said, I'm very against terrorism. So, like I said,
It's Marie, the co-host in the Twitter space.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's going on, Marie?
Sorry, I wasn't entirely sure, where my role on that was supposed to be. And now
Marie, your audio is a bit low. Is it just low for me? Can you come closer to the mic?
Okay, I can switch over to something else.
Okay.
I'll be back. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Hi, Zeke.
Hey, what's going on, Marie? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just didn't know if you want me to let people know if they're here. If they do have a question, like later on, you can request to come up and you can raise your hand and we can get to it later on. I just wanted to make sure people in the audience knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if I usually, when I do spaces, people are allowed to ask questions. I don't think anyone wants to hear me talking for an hour straight. So if anybody, I would love to
I didn't
hear questions or
like streaming across other platforms, and I didn't know if you wanted me to like interrupt, like if we bring speakers up or someone raises a hand, do you want me to interrupt or like you streaming for that, or like that was what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, if someone has a question, I would love to talk to them. I see my good friend Wicked Jess in there. I see Dr. Interracial. I see a couple other people, Sean. Yeah. So if anybody has a question, I would love to talk to them.
I actually did bring Dr. Interracial up as a speaker. So if anyone who is up here as a speaker, just raise your hands and I'll get around to getting to you. And I will try and keep an eye on the order of the hands. And if you want to come up and ask a question, just request the mic. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's yeah. Dr. Interracial, did you want to say something or do you have a question? Okay. So while we wait for other people to open their mic, so I see somebody also requested, so we could, so I'll let Marie take care of the people who are requesting to speak. But while we wait for somebody else to open their mic and ask a question, I also want to ask you, because before we went live, you mentioned something about Islam. What is your opinion on Islam, Zeek? Just to ask it bluntly.
I don't necessarily have a problem with Islam per se. I just think that if you're in America, you should be assimilating to American customs. I think you should be assimilating to American standards and traditions, things like that. If you want to practice your religion, I am a believer in the First Amendment, freedom of religion. I believe you can. I just don't think Sharia law is compatible with American customs. I'm not going to tell my wife to cover up and wear a hijab. I'm not going to tell my daughter to be another man's property, I guess, per se. My friend who I was discussing, he's Islamic, and his wife walks around freely. His daughters walk around freely. I just think any custom or policy that is at odds with American tradition and American customs and American policy. If you are here in America, I think American traditions and policy trump that. No pun intended. I think your first priority should be as an American. So if you're bringing customs with you from overseas, or if you're bringing something with you that is a direct opposition to American customs, I do have an issue with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. So the way I look at it is that when I judge Islam and I judge Muslims, I look at them separately. Okay, because when I judge Islam, I judge it based on what I read in the Quran and Hadith. But when I judge Muslims, I judge them based on their actions. And many times Muslims are far superior than Islam. So I think I separate these two. Like I look at Muslims and, many of them are really good people. And I can see that they're good, decent people. And I judge them accordingly. But when I read the Quran and the Hadith, when you say Sharia law is not compatible with the West, I don't think Sharia law is compatible with life itself, regardless of where it is in the world. Sharia law is not just anti-Western. Sharia law is anti-human in general. That's how, if you just read
it's not compatible with individual liberty, which is what our constitution, our country, it's a principle that our country is built on. That's the issue with Western culture. That's it. At least for me.
Yeah, well, individual liberty is what we need for prosperity and life anywhere in the world, right? So individual, like you in the West, you're lucky enough to have individual liberty in your constitution and in your laws, right? But the rest of the world, if they had individual liberty as much as America has, they would have better lives, right? So what I say is that I want individual liberty for all people all around the world, and Islam is a force that is against that. So Islam is not just incompatible with the West, which is true. I mean, I am agreeing with you guys. Islam is incompatible with Western values because Western values are superior values to Islamic values. But these Western values, they work wherever we use them. They don't just work in the West. I mean, we use Western values in Japan. It worked in Japan. We use them in South Korea. It worked in South Korea. So it's not. It might be Western, but they work everywhere. So Islamic values are horrible everywhere, not just in the West. And also Western values are great everywhere, not just in the West. That's my point. Yeah. I don't know.
Like I said, I mean, there's a lot I have issues with as far as a lot of the extremism. But like I said, I have I have a problem with any kind of extremism. So my thing is all about protecting people, protecting individual liberties, protecting our God-given freedoms, and anything that is anathema to that, I'm not going to be supportive of.
Right.
So I do think but there's extremism. You can find extremism anywhere. I think all extremists need to be, for lack of a better phrase, put down. But yeah, I mean, I have Muslims I work with. I have Muslims who I'm friends with. So and they're not trying to to dominate anyone. So I think you really do have to examine the extremists and see what they're talking about and see what they're doing.
Yeah. So I also
I'd
have
like to chime in on this as well.
Oh, please.
And
welcome, Dr. Interracial.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
How's it going? I would say living in Minnesota and working at the airport, we did not vet the individuals that came into Minnesota. They did like a mass migration, chain migration. And we have a lot of loopholes. We didn't do no checks and balances or anything like that. And when you talk about the airline industry, they employed so many people that hate American lifestyle and freedom. Let me give you an example. One night when I was working at the airport, it was a young kid. He was from Somalia, and he was a Somali refugee. So one day he's standing at the cab stand. He worked at the airport now. He did like a makeshift, like he was shooting everybody in the airport. Then took the gun and shot himself in the head. I reported that to the higher ups. Nothing happened. It's on video camera. Nothing. But you know what they did? They gave him a promotion, moved him up and working in baggage claim. So it's not so much just we fail as a nation. I'm glad that we have Trump in office now, human services, things like that, because we got to start vetting who we let in this country. And once you start vetting people more properly, then it'd be a lot more not so complex, because you have your politicians in Minnesota. They'll bow down to them, put the head wrap on. And if you've ever been in Minnesota, it looked like little Mogadishu. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they got one area and they blasting their prayer signs 5 times a day. But you can't do that with a Christian. You can't do it that any other religion. You know why? Because what it is, we don't want to put our religious practice on other people, but they allow them to have free reign on anything that they do. And that's the one thing we need to stop doing. We need to stop being cordial and nice and just be up straight in front and blunt about it. Hey, you cannot do this. You're violating other people's protective rights. It's not right for you to do that. You cannot bring your cousin over here and be under the program. You know, it's so much broken laws that we allowed ourselves to open up to. When you have broken laws, you allow a lot of corruption to come through. That's when you're going to have extremist attitudes come in and target America from within the inside of our country. You know, it's not just like people from the Horn of Africa. We're not talking about just Mexicans. It's abundant groups of people. Talk about the Chinese nationalists. You know, you talk about how they buying up land around military bases. The system was so broke for maybe 30 years. And it took Trump to expose a lot of that. And once we start figuring a way out to combat those issues, then America would be a little bit more comfortable who they let in the country. But right now, we have to put a microscope on everything. You know, you got to look at the schools, the colleges, the high schools. The high schools, it's a danger. You know, you talking about Black Lives Matter. So we got so many splinter groups that's involved to destroy America. It's not just a certain group. It's you know, you got China, you got Russia. You know, they want to come to the tables and talk to us, but they trying to destroy us from the inside as well. So it's a much bigger, complex pie. So we just can't look at one group. We got to look at every group, homegrown terrorists. So and that's my spiel on that. But it's a very complex issue. And I think we're going in the right direction as a nation. And we just have to, you know, pick up the pieces and go with it. But I'm glad that I can't wait till Trump start taking executive orders and making them into law. Because executive orders only going to last as long as he is in office. And when we start making the executive laws into real solid laws, then we can protect American interests and American citizens. And that's my take on that.
You're absolutely right. Until stuff gets codified, it means absolutely nothing. It's just on a piece of paper for this administration, and just as easily as he signs them, they can be undone by the next president. And, you know, our Congress and Senate, they don't seem to be in any grand rush. They're just dragging their feet about it. So, you know, you're right to keep an eye on that.
I do.
I would say I agree with everything the doc just finished saying. You know, we have to take a hard look at who we're allowing into the country. We have to take a hard look at where we're getting these people from. And it's you know, to be like the doc said, it's everyone. If you're going to come here and try to hurt us from within, you know, it's why I don't trust people like Ilhan Omar. It's why I don't trust, you know, Rashida Tlaib. If you're going to come here and try to hurt us from within, then you shouldn't be here. You know, if you're coming here, and I've said this before on Twitter, if you're coming here and you still see yourself as a citizen as from where you came from, then you shouldn't be here. So, you know, it's you have a good part of the Muslim population who wants to be left alone and who just wants to come here and practice their religion in peace. I'm all for that. But then you also have the population who wants to come here and take over. And I think those people should be seen as a threat and as a potential enemy. So I'm all for that, of course, yeah.
You know, can I just add something with regards to saying that there are extremists everywhere, which is true. However, I just want to add something to that, because nothing produces extremism like Islam does. I mean, Zeek, to your point, is very true that most Muslims are not terrorists. Okay, we understand that. However, most terrorists in the world are Muslim. So yes, there are non-Muslim terrorists out there, but Islam contributes to the terrorism pile much more than any other ideology. And the problem that I have with and I think that's the greatest force right now that is scheming and planning against the West. And the main reason why I'm against the woke left and the woke right, I don't really think they have much power themselves by their own, but they're just open. They are the ones who open the gates to the barbarians at the gate. And the barbarians at the gate, they're inside. Like, so the woke left and the woke right are inside Western nations, and they're the ones who they don't have enough of the violence or enough of the force to be able to but single-handedly, just by themselves, threaten Western powers. But the barbarians are at the gate, and they're opening the gates. That's the danger, and that's the danger from the inside that is allowing this to happen. But the actual force that wants to destroy this Western order that we have managed to create after World War II are the Islamic forces. And I understand that there are many Muslims who are good people. The issue is that those good Muslims are used often as a cover for how evil Islam is. Again, when I say Islam is evil, I'm not judging every single individual Muslim. Good Muslims are good people because they ignore Islam. It's not because they're Muslim. It's in spite of it. Like it's the reason why they're good people is because Islam hasn't managed to, the Islamic mind virus hasn't been able to completely take over them. If anybody wants to be a true Muslim, they would have to be ISIS. They would have to be Al Qaeda. They would have to be the Taliban. They would have to be the mullahs in Tehran. That's how you are a true Muslim. So if you see so many good Muslims around the world, it's because they're not abiding by Islamic laws. When you say I'm against Sharia law, well, Sharia law is Islam. You cannot separate Sharia law from Islam. I see comments.
We actually do have a question. We have a hand raised. Tom.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for
Sorry,
having me.
Armin.
No problem. I'm from Ireland. It's a good space. Hopefully you allow me maybe like 2 minutes maximum to speak. So I'm from Ireland and I'm actually a convert to Islam. So I converted to Islam myself, and I do like to look into different polls, different surveys, different historical events to kind of shape my view on how the world works. So firstly, I'd like to say, when you look at pure data on Muslims in America, you can see the Muslim community are more loyal to America compared to the Jewish community. So a 2024 survey by the AJC, American Jewish Committee, found only 62% of US Jews feel emotionally attached to a foreign country, Israel, whereas 89% of Muslim Americans, 2017 Pew Research Center, are proud to be American. That's one stat. The second thing is when you talk about Western values, I think different Western countries have different values. If you want to talk about freedom, free speech, democracy, well, Muslims vote. That's democracy. They pay taxes, and I think we don't have free speech because we have anti-Semitism laws. You can't criticize, you can't talk about the Holocaust numbers in many places in Europe. You get arrested. Whereas more people in the UK have been arrested for anti-Semitism compared to Islamophobia. And when we talk about communities, insular communities, in Brooklyn, New York, and in London, the Jewish communities have their own police force, their own ambulance, their own courts for marriage. So I think it's kind of like a double standard. And when we talk about terrorism, you are statistically more likely to die falling out of bed and drowning in a bathtub than be killed by a terrorist. It's a very niche crime. And most of these groups, it's mainly geopolitics, right? It's mainly over resources. Like ISIS was funded by Western countries. Even the great Donald Trump said, quote unquote, Barack Obama founded ISIS. So I think the media tries to vilify Muslims, and I see the host is actually an ex-Muslim Iranian. What's funny is I was looking into Persia before Islam came, and even if Iran is bad right now, Iran was worse before Islam came because Persian men actually used to sell their women to China as slaves. There was something called kin marriages where brothers and sisters would have sex, mothers and sons would have sex. Islam came, it may be a bad country now, but I think it cleaned it up very much. So yeah, thank you.
All right, can you please give me some time to respond to that? Okay. Iran before Islam was a great growing empire. It was one of the greatest empires in history. Islam came and destroyed all of that. When you're talking about slavery, the Cyrus the Great, before we had abolition of slavery anywhere in the world, we had Cyrus the Great, which was the emperor of the Persian Empire. He abolished slavery. He freed the Jews and he abolished slavery in his land before there were any abolitionists of slavery anywhere in the world. This is more than, I think 300 BC. So this is thousands of years ago. And nobody at that time has even heard about anybody coming out and abolishing slavery. And then you compare that to Islam, which we have Quranic verses, chapter 4, verse 24, that talks about sex slavery in Islam, where in war against the enemies of Allah, if you capture a woman, even if she's married to another man, if you capture a woman in war for Allah, then you could actually turn her, you could have sex with her, you could rape her as a sex slave, even if she's married. That's specifically written in the Quran. So it's very interesting how somebody who's defending Islam it's very interesting in a conversation when somebody who's defending Islam brings up slavery, because that's something that Muslims try to avoid, because anybody who wants to speak.
Oh no, I'm happy to talk about it.
I am. Hey, Tom. Did I interrupt you a single time when you were talking? I didn't interrupt you.
Sorry, I thought you were finished. Sorry. I thought you were finished. Sorry.
No, it was very obvious that I was not finished, right? And also, when you're saying ISIS was created by the West, so this is people usually phrase that in a way as if the Western powers created ISIS on purpose. Obviously, the creation of ISIS has multifactorial, and some of it involves some shortcomings from the West. That's true, but it was never because they created ISIS on purpose. I mean, if you want to blame the West for ISIS, then the whole world can be blamed for ISIS, because everything in politics is connected something in a way to something else. I mean, you could basically by that same line of reasoning, you could blame United States for Hitler. You could blame everybody for everything, because everything is somehow connected, right? Everything that happens, if somebody in history, it's a butterfly effect. If somebody throughout history did something else, then that evil thing wouldn't have happened. So so basically everyone is to blame. So you could say ISIS is the fault of the Islamic Republic, United States, Israel, Europe, Canada. I could make an argument for how everybody is at fault. But if you're looking for the main culprit, it's Islam. ISIS, the main reason why we have ISIS is Islam. But yeah, everybody else could get some share of the blame. But the number one blame goes to Islam, because ISIS, I could show you, honestly, other than a few little incidences here and there, they're pretty good at following Islam. And then you also mentioned Muslims being good. I think maybe you weren't paying attention when I was speaking about, I was separating Islam from Muslims. I was very clear that I'm not generalizing all Muslims. I don't know where you're getting the stats from, but I wouldn't be surprised that American Muslims might be loyal to the United States, which is really, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that stat, because I know American Muslims on average are better than other Muslims around the world. United States does a better job at assimilation. And again, the fact that they're assimilating, that means that they're becoming less Islamic. If that stat is true, which I have to verify, like when people are having live discussions, they just drop studies and they know that nobody live on air, they cannot go check it. Many times when people drop studies after the live stream, when I go check it, I realize that they were saying something else. But let's just assume that it's saying what you're saying. I wouldn't be surprised. The fact that American Muslims are less Islamic, and that's why they are more in line with Western values, wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know if it's true that where you're getting the stats that Jewish American are less loyal to America, but it's very telling that even though that was not the discussion, you were trying to condemn the Jews for not being American enough, even though I, as an anti-Islam person myself, I defend Muslims, because even though I attack Islam, I defend Muslims, and I'd never want to generalize Muslim and speak ill of Muslims. But it's very telling that you, as a Muslim, decided to, without any reason, just come out and try to paint a evil, non-loyal picture of American Jews for no reason at all. That's very telling that as a Muslim you decided to do that. But Zeek, you wanted to say something? It seemed like you want to open.
No, I would love to hear from some of the other people in here. Like I said, I'm really.
Another right of response, please.
No, okay. So Tom, let me just respond to one more thing that you just said. You're saying like people dying from terrorism, that's the chances of that is lower than people dying from out of bed. Okay, well then we could basically dismiss all terrorism like this. So terrorism is not a problem. I could show you the number of people who die from heart attack, from car accidents. They're astronomically higher than people who die in war. So I guess war is not an issue then. Like nobody oh guys, like there's war in Ukraine and Ukrainians are dying. People should talk about that. Like no, because in Ukraine people die more from car accidents. So I guess the war between Russia and Ukraine is not worth even talking about, because people in Ukraine and Russia, every day, people in Russia and Ukraine are dying from car accidents more than they are dying in the war. So I guess people who are raising awareness about how horrible of a war this is, they're wasting their time, given that car accidents and heart attacks takes more victims. That's a ridiculous comparison. When you want to compare, by the way, also the effects of terrorism is not just on human lives. The effects of terrorism is on people's way of life. It's on the economy. It's on culture. Like, for example, when 9/11 happens, the cost to the world was not just the people who died. The entire order, the entire structure, everything gets shaken when a terrorist attack happens. The sense of security that people have in a society, the way people look at each other, the economic costs. If you add all of the costs of terrorism, it goes far, far beyond just the initial attack that happens at that moment. And again, if somebody wants to accuse me like, oh, Armin, economic costs matters more to you than people's lives, people don't know that poverty kills. Okay, so yeah, when you have a cost on the economy, if that also indirectly kills a lot of people. So yeah, I do care a lot about the economy. So comparing it to the people
just a right of response.
No. Wait, Tom.
I think you're afraid.
Just everyone make sure. Tom, please stop. Tom, stop. I just want to say, if anyone hasn't reposted, I see many great people here. BJ, Queen Katrina, and other people who want to talk. You can request to talk.
And we
Also
actually do have another hand up as well. Rugman has been patiently waiting.
Everything he said was factually inaccurate. It wasn't correct. Historically inaccurate.
Tom,
I can prove you right if you let me speak in that 1 minute.
But that isn't how this is going to go, though. You don't dictate how it goes.
Tom, please. I'm the third co-host, so I just want to say. If anyone hasn't reposted, please repost the space, and we are appreciating you. Also, I appreciate Zeek a lot for coming to the show. I really appreciate him, and hope to also see you, Zeek, in later spaces. And I just love this show that Armin and Zeek just talk to each other about these issues. Thank you so much.
Of the right of response. So, firstly, when we talk about, terrorism.
Armin, would you like to let him respond right now, or would you like to go to the other gentleman?
You guys could decide, Murray. You're the co-host, so I let you decide.
Yeah. Fair enough, Tom.
I think Tom can wait.
I was just going to say, let's see what Rugman has to say in case it was related to what either of you guys have been saying. And then I will come back to you, Tom. Okay. And then I do see your hand as well, Mr. BJ. I can't even pronounce the rest of it. I will get to you as soon as I'm able to. Okay. I do see you though. All right, Rugman, you're up.
Sorry, before you, Tom says, sorry, Tom. I think that today is not debate. You can come in other spaces. We have debate later, but today is not the day for that, Tom. If you want to debate,
you just
no,
don't
thank
like
you. Sorry, it's not the day for that.
I think you're afraid of what I have
No, I just I'm saying no, nothing. I'm the co-host, and I say that
you're censoring.
No, I'm not censoring.
Tom,
this is not a debate space.
Tom, I just said you're going to get to speak
space.
after somebody else.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's what I said. So all I've asked you to do is wait, and you will get to go after Rugman. If you cannot do that, I'm going to ask you to just leave. But if you wait, you will get to go.
No, I said Tom should leave because it's not a debate space. Debate spaces are other days. Armin just
Warren, that's
no.
fine.
Let Murray decide. Warren, Murray could decide what we do.
I was just saying, yes, I totally agree with Warren. This is not a debate space. If you have something that you would like to come back and say briefly, fine. If you're just going to try and come back and make this into a debate, that is not what this is intended to be today. But I'm going to let Rugman speak in case it was related to what either of you were saying. And then, Tom, I will allow you to go again briefly, okay? Rugman, you're up.
Marie, thank you. Armin, Shalom Magajan, Halashkube. And Zeek, you're one of the people that I follow religiously, so I appreciate an opportunity to speak quickly on the space. I'm going to speak to Tom's comments, and I'm going to speak from a different perspective. I'm going to speak from a perspective of a man that's nearly 70 years old, who watched the fall of Iran under the Shah, who is extremely close friends with numerous Persians, in particularly Jewish Persians who fled the country when the Ayatollah came into power. Tom's first comment to all of us was that he was a recent convert to Islam, and congratulations for that. You're going to need it. You're in the right place. You're getting a step ahead of the rest of your country. I'm going to speak in a different tone. The Muslim religion as a whole follows Islamic law and Sharia law as a whole. If and when there ever comes a point that people choose sides in what is going to be a battle, hypothetical battle, no guns, no knives, hypothetical battle in religious control of this country, you will find that 100% of the Muslims side with other Muslims. If anybody wants a great example of this, Brigitte Gabriel made a brilliant statement when they were doing the Benghazi investigation, and she was part of the panel. And a Muslim woman made a comment to her about the event targeting Muslims, which it was not. But Gabriel went into what is, I believe, one of the best answers I've ever heard. And one point was simple. The peaceful majority of Muslims, that peaceful majority, are irrelevant. The peaceful majority of the Germans were irrelevant when the Nazis were in power. The peaceful majority of the Japanese did not butcher their way through the South Pacific, but it all happened and millions of people died. I see what's happened with Islam in my country. Tom, I really don't give a shit about your numbers saying 99% of Muslims disseminate and love this country and 1% of the Jews do. In my nearly 70 years on earth, I have never seen Jews protest against this country. Not here. To the best of my knowledge, I've never seen one burn a flag. Not here. So to sit there and say that the Muslim community is more committed to the United States than any other community, I doubt that. I won't look at statistics because I don't give a damn about statistics. I look at what I actually see and hear with my own eyes. And I know what I see, and everybody else on this space knows what they see. Islam is not compatible with Western values. That's the title of this space. It is 100% incompatible. You talked about the fact that Islam saved Iran from slavery. I don't give a damn about what happened 500 years ago. I'm going back 70 into real time, into the last 2 generations, to tell you that the Islamic people who have come into this country did not come here to assimilate. And if you do not assimilate, you are not immigrating, you are invading. You go to another country to live as a part of their culture and be a part of their culture under their laws, under the one nation, under God's laws. That's assimilation. That's an immigrant. Those are the people that I love. I shake their hands and I clap when they get their citizenship. I do not see that with the Muslim community. Not at all. And I'm very near the Houston area. Trust me, I know what the Muslim community is like. And I've been involved with them as well. So I don't give a damn about your statistics. I open my eyes every morning. I look and see who's in the street boycotting against my country, boycotting against the Jews. And by the way, my enemy's enemy is not always my friend. But in this case, my enemy's enemy, the Islamic Republic's enemy, is Israel, and I'm 110% behind them. I don't care what they do to end the war. They did not stop it. Don't give me a bunch of bullshit facts that go back 30 years and tell me how they started it. I don't care. Israel is my friend. They're protecting me from my enemy. Armin, your statements were so spot on. Most of my friends are Persian Jews. Obviously, you can look at my name and tell what I did most of my life for a living. And the Persian Jews are huge in my community. So I have a full understanding, and your explanations and your point are rock solid. With that, I've had my rant. I so appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do it. I will land here, continue to listen. Everybody have a blessed day.
Can I just say
thank you.
something to that?
I think there's a
Really
few
quick.
points to respond.
Hold on.
Yeah, Tom, hold on. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Rugman, for coming and speaking. All right, Tom,
Yeah.
make it fast because we are moving on. We have other hands. Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't
Can I
don't
just
make me
quickly say
reject
something?
this.
Can I just quickly respond to Rugman before Tom speaks? Because I really want to acknowledge
Yes,
what he
yes,
said.
please.
Okay. So, Rugman, I just really want to say I appreciated everything you said. That was fantastic. And I just wanted to report to you that the love for Israel among Iranian people is so much more than just the Persian Jews now. You know, the Iranian people hold the Israeli flag with so much pride, and the flag of Israel and the flag of Iran, the proper flag of Iran, not the one with the Allah on it, but the one with the sun and the lion on it, fly next to each other more than any two other flags right now. If you look in the Western countries, Iranian people, if you see any protests with Israelis raising the Israeli flags, if you look, you will always find some Iranian flags in the middle of them. And anywhere in the West where Iranians are protesting and they're raising the Iranian flag, you will always find an Israeli flag, a couple of Israeli flags in the middle of them as well. And not only just Iranians outside of Iran, Iranians inside of Iran are risking their lives more than ever before to show their love for Israel. They write it on the wall, they write it in the metro, in the buses, they post it on social media. They sometimes secretly send post images of themselves with the Israeli flag inside Iran, and they want the world to know that the nation of Iran stands with the nation of Israel. I just wanted to also let you know. So yeah, thank you for all.
Thank you, and I pray for Iran. I pray for it to become what it once was. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully we can have maybe 2 minutes, because I want to just reply to the host and Sir Rugman, who just responded. The first point is when you make the argument of, oh, I look around and see what my own eyes, well, I look around and I see the earth looks flat, and that doesn't mean the earth is flat, right? I mean, most conservatives deny climate change, they deny COVID. When it comes to the media, when Muslims, they believe everything because they want to, right? It's human nature to want to have an enemy. That's the first point. The second point is, Rugman said, you want people to follow the law, follow the customs. By your logic, then, it seems the Mexican Christians don't belong in America, because even though they're Christian, they have a higher crime rate, and the black community has a higher crime and rape rate, and the black community are mainly of Christian background in America. Secondly, when I talked about the study about how Jews don't integrate, that was from the AJC, an American Jewish Committee. And the only reason I brought that up was to show when we talk about Muslims and Western values, it's relative. We have to talk about different other groups and Western values. Then you can come to a conclusion. I'd like to say you said something like, oh, the reason why they integrate is because they're less religious. I disagree. I mean, if you look at Tanzania is 45% Muslim. They're very, very conservative. However, they get along very well with the other group, and there's studies for Tanzania as well. I did my dissertation on Tanzania and Sierra Leone. In fact, in Sierra Leone, Christians and Muslims pray side by side on holidays. The other point I'm trying to remember, you said, I said you're statistically more likely to die drowning in a bathtub or falling out of bed than die from terrorism in the West, not in Ukraine, right? But yes, I know it is a rare crime. But why do we spend time talking about it? If you really want to talk about human life, it's not racism. You need to look at the FBI statistics on black on white crime. So a white person is more likely to die from a random attack of a black person in America. It's nothing to do with Islam. Secondly, yes, the cost of terrorism, yes. But look how much America sends to Israel. I mean, Israel has dragged America into wars for them. They've, in Iraq, the illegal invasion, American soldiers died for Israel, and ISIS was part of the Yinon plan. If you Google the Yinon plan, named after Oded Yinon, published in 1982, it talks about how Israel's long-term security depends on breaking and destabilizing the whole Middle East. And before ISIS was formed, they published in the DEA, Department DEA, I think it's called in America. It's public information that they will have a Salafi group in Syria over there. They'll have the Kurds to give them oil, and everything will be balkanized, because that's the way you become a superpower in the region. Americans died for this, for a foreign country in the Middle East, Israel. This isn't Islam. Islam isn't your enemy. Look at trans ideology. Where does the 8 genders come from? It comes from the Jewish Talmud. This is all leading back to Jews. Muslims integrate 10 times more than Jewish people. It's a fact. Even if you look at the case of Angel and Vital in New York, public schools, they stopped doing Christian prayers. Why? A Jewish organization protested. You said Jews don't protest. A Jewish organization stopped Christians from praying in school in America because they don't respect Jesus. And lastly, you talked about Iran before Islam. Iran before Islam was, I'm sorry, it was way worse. The Cyrus Cylinder is represented as some human rights charter. Every historian, look at Emily Court, the historian, the Persian Empire, 2007. She wrote a book, and she proved with multiple sources and first-hand information, Cyrus didn't abolish slavery. He just let some people get deported back and go home. That's propaganda. The Shah was very strict and very bad to the Kurds, to the Balochis, and to the poor people. Only the wealthy 1% thrived under the Shah. Yes, Iran is not perfect at the moment. I would say Oman is a very good Muslim country. There's virtually no crime in Oman. People from the West are moving to work in Oman. Whereas in America, you struggle with homelessness, drugs, crime. You guys have a very different view of a religion of nearly 2 billion. Was it 2 billion people? I don't know how many people, but I urge you to look into this propaganda. It's been since 2001. It's been implanted. And if you want to talk about 9/11, Google the dancing Israelis arrested on 9/11 watching the event, and they were failed lie detector tests. They went back to Israel, and there's a video of them on YouTube saying they were there to document the event. The whole world's a stage. The world's a theater. Things happen for a reason. Follow the money. Follow the resources. It's very easy. The average person, the average Muslim, wants to pay for his kids' college, put food on the table, and carry on with life. Please, let's not be enemies. Let's talk about what really the issue is. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
All right. So you said 2 minutes, and you took 5 minutes without anyone interrupting. So every time you say 2 minutes, it ends up being much longer. Let me just make it go through some of them, and I'll let other people respond to you as well, because that was a lot of nonsense. And I know a lot of them, probably all of them were nonsense, because the one that I actually looked into before, I know they are conspiracy theories, and based on when people say like somebody has studied it, they're talking about YouTube videos or blogs about some other insane conspiracy theories. Like when they talk about studies, they're just talking about some people with tinfoil hats on just writing blogs, and they refer to them as studies. But you weren't even listening to what I was saying, because I didn't say Americans who are Muslim Americans, if they're loyal to America, that's because they're less religious. Okay, you could be very observing, like doing your fast, doing your praying, but very ignorant of Islamic values and not following the main, especially the political parts of it. But on paper, on practice, you look like you're doing all the customs and all the traditions. But when it comes to values, you could actually be a Muslim who is completely ignorant of the actual values of Islam, which I think even most practicing Muslims are often very ignorant of the actual values. In fact, I think most Muslims, if they become really aware of the values of Islam, they will become ex-Muslims and leave Islam immediately. So just because somebody is religious, that doesn't mean they are aware or in line with the values of Islam, just because they're Muslim and they're praying and fasting. So you weren't paying attention when I said that. And then you're talking about terrorist numbers, and you're talking about FBI statistics. And hey, I'm who's opening the mic? And how rare of a crime that is. It's very interesting, because usually us anti-Islam people get accused of being too Western centric. When I talk about Islamic terrorism, I'm talking globally. It's very interesting that you as a Muslim are zooming in on America, which makes your numbers look so much better, because most of Islamic terrorism happens outside of America. When I'm talking about Islamic terrorism, I'm talking about Iraq, Yemen, Syria, everywhere. And like, if you, yes, sure, if you look, if you focus, it's very interesting. Like, oh, Islamic terrorism is not that much. Let's look at this a country that Muslims are a minority, and by zooming in on a country where Muslims are the minority, I'm going to show you that most crimes are not by Muslims. And you think that proves your point? Yeah, well, I promise you, where Muslims are the minority, they're not doing most of anything. They're not doing most of anything. You think you're winning because most crimes in the United States are not happening by Muslims, where they are not even, I don't know what the percentages of them are very low. Look at globally, right? When I say globally, so most terrorism in the world happens by Muslims. Your numbers only look better when you focus on United States. And then you say Israel Israel drags United States into wars, and the United States has sent a lot of money to Israel. United States has saved a lot of money by supporting Israel. The cost of the wars that United States had to be involved in, if Israel was not a country, would have been astronomically higher. I grew up in Iran. I know what their plan is. We were told they don't hold back. The leaders of the Islamic Republic, they don't hold back. They actually are very transparent about what their plan is. They wanted to destroy the Pahlavi dynasty, to then go destroy Israel, so that they could unite the entire Islamic world against all Western power. So when United States is support, if Israel was not there, United States would have had to be in the Middle East. This makes actually so much economic sense for the United States, because it's actually cheaper for Israel, who is already in the Middle East, to fight the evil terrorism of Islam, rather than United States, which is an ocean away. Even if you just want to do a calculation based on, do an economic analysis, it makes United States not to get involved so far away from its borders and just use the help of its allies to do the job over there. And Israel has proven to be very effective at destroying America's enemies. I mean, I don't want to say anything against America, but honestly, like recently we saw United States attacking the Houthis, and then Israel just recently attacking the Houthis. Israel, because United States is a superpower, and their army is very effective, and I'm really grateful for the United States Army, because they are responsible for the global stability more than any other nation. However, Israel is in the Middle East, and Israel understands the Middle East, and Israel is more effective in the Middle East than the United States. So it makes sense for the United States to support Israel instead of getting involved itself. So whatever money the United States has given to Israel, if Israel was not there to fight this war, the United States would have had to spend 100 times more to be able to fight America's enemies, right? And Israel doesn't drag the United States into war. Israel has managed to stop America from having to fight so many wars. You talk about Iran before Islam and Cyrus the Great Cylinder. Again, it's very interesting. There are many historians who refer to Cyrus's Cylinder as the first declaration of human rights. You probably have gone and found one that disagrees and just cite that one and just ignore all the other ones who refer to Cyrus's Cylinder as the first human rights declaration in history. I think even in the United Nations, they have the replica of the Cyrus's Cylinder as a way as a representation of human rights. So you're so desperate to show that Islam makes a society better that you're denying something that most historians and most people around the world actually recognize as something true. That's how desperate you are, and that's exactly how you're so selective when it comes to collecting data against the Jews. And actually, I'm really glad that you're talking. I don't know if you're still here, by the way. I don't see you, but I'm really glad that as a Muslim, you come and selectively mention data to show that Israelis, Jews in the United States are not loyal, and also they're a whole scheming bunch that are trying to destroy family. You mentioned trans, exactly what I said at the beginning. I was telling Zeke exactly this, that, you know, when it comes to far right, I consider these Muslim forces to be also part of the far right, right? They say like, oh, these Jews are scheming, they're making America, they're forcing America to get involved in wars. Exactly the anti again, and they pretend that they're not anti-Jewish. But whenever they talk about it, but this guy is actually not pretending that. It's really good, because this is a mask-off moment, because a lot of people are say that they're anti-Israeli but not anti-Jewish. But this guy is actually talking about Jewish American, which really demonstrates that he's just anti-Jewish. Like, this guy is a racist. He's generally talking about how non-loyal American Jews are, and how they are scheming behind the curtains and trying to, you know, destroy the family with supporting trans, I don't know, stuff, and trying to get America involved into wars. These are basically ancient tropes against Jewish people. And anybody who repeats them is basically telling in on themselves. And I'm glad that somebody who comes and says that they're a Muslim convert is saying that. So a lot of people see that Islam is the problem, Islam is the disease, Islam is the cancer, and Israel is the solution. And let me tell you, Muslim converts are usually a lot more crazy than people who born into Islam on average. Because average Muslims are usually good people, and they're just Muslim just because they inherited that from their parents. But you have to be a special kind of crazy to look at Islam and be like, yeah, I'm going to convert into that, right? So that's why you see much more radicalism and craziness among converts compared to the people who were born into Islam. So countries, you also mentioned that Oman is better, and it's like there's not much crimes there, but United States, we have homelessness and we have crimes. Again, this is somebody has to be dishonest to, among all Muslim countries, go pick one of them and compare it to United States, because I think he knows that if you compare the average of Islamic countries to United States, the average American is so much better off than the average person in an Islamic country by a huge margin. But you're so dishonest that instead of comparing averages, you go pick a specific country that has been lucky to be a small country, benefiting from all the oil in that region, and just having a little bit of a stability in a country that is so oil rich, given that in the most of the Islamic world, you have so much conflict that as soon as one country has just a little bit of stability, it benefits from so much investments. You know, you could also talk about the UAE and how great Dubai is, and then ignore, I don't know, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen. I mean, just pick, like, on average, Islamic countries don't do well, not just compared to Western countries. Islamic countries on average just don't do well compared to average countries. But yeah, just go be so biased and, I don't know, dishonest to just pick one or two that are doing better and then compare it with the Western countries. That shows a level of dishonesty that I think most people can see. And also with regards to Iran, before the Islamic Revolution of 1979, saying the Shah was against the poor, that is absolute fucking bullshit. The Iran was getting richer and richer every single day under the Shah, under the Pahlavi dynasty. The only reason why the divide between the rich and poor was increasing was not because the poor were getting poorer, but everybody was getting richer. But when the economy grows this fast, usually the rich gets faster than the poor. But everybody was getting richer, including the poor. But usually when you have so much economic growth, the rich get richer faster, and that's why the divide grows. But everything was improving during the Shah. Economy was growing, education was growing, industry was growing, modernization was happening, technology was growing, the culture was growing, our relationship with the United States, with the West and Israel and all other countries were improving. Our passport was respected all around the world. Everything was getting better until the Islamic Revolution of 1979 happened. And the Shah was not against the court. The Shah who respected the course. The Shah was only against the minority of the Kurdish forces who were cessationists, and he should have been against those Kurds that were cessationists because they were trying to divide the country. Obviously, any group of people who's challenging the border integrity of your country, you need to crush them, and you need to crush them hard. That doesn't make you anti-Kurdish. That just makes you anti-cessationist. Also, you mentioned talking about dancing Israelis at 9/11. That's absolute horseshit. Show me a single evidence that happened, because I have plenty of evidence that Muslims around the world were dancing and cheering, including people in so-called Palestine were cheering when 9/11 happened. We have so many video footage and records of Muslims around the world celebrating 9/11, and you ignore all of that, and then you just come up with your dirty anti-Semitic conspiracy theory against the Jews. And 9/11 had nothing to do with the Jews. It had everything to do with Islam. Anyway, I see BJ wants to speak as well.
Hey, brother, it's good to talk to you again. You
Yeah,
know, I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset with you because I'm never going to get back those 3 million brain cells that just got rotted out by that guy Tom who was here. You notice as soon as he finished his promulgation of propaganda, he left immediately because he wasn't here for a conversation. He's there to try to brainwash the few people who might be listening, who can fall victim to that sort of nonsense and logical fallacies, right? I'm guessing this is the first time it's not the first time you've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that he left, but I've seen this happen before. But true, yeah.
Yeah, it's the drive-by propaganda strategy that they do. They come into spaces, they do their da'wah, and then they leave, and they hope something's going to stick. Anyways, I just want to touch on, I mean, you touched on a couple of these things, just going a little bit more, slightly more granular, but I think it's important for people to understand this. The goal of terrorism is not to kill people. You know, they always do this. The Muslim Brotherhood loves this framing. The chance of being a victim of terrorism is less than, you know, substitute whatever you want to complete that non sequitur. The goal of terrorism is not to kill masses of people. It's to create fear, instability, and chaos. It is by definition political violence with a political aim. That's the goal of it. And one of this, the IRA bombings in England, the FARC guerrillas in Colombia, the recent assassination of Uribe by los disidentes in Colombia, it's always the same goal. It's to instill fear and cause economic chaos and force a government into submission, which is why they use it, you know? And it's interesting that now we live in this era of this intersection that's been going on for a number of decades, but people are starting to finally see it, which is that intersection between terrorism and narco trafficking. You know, it was cocaine, then it was crack, now it's fentanyl. And having spent lots of time in dangerous places in Latin America, once you live there, you really understand, you know, the implications of it. The other thing that you touched on, and I agree, just want to expand a little bit on, is converts to Islam. This is part of what I call the operating system of how human beings are wired. And this is kind of low-level programming, maybe the equivalent of a BIOS and CMOS on a computer. When somebody has a fundamental worldview, and this applies to all of us, and we realize at one point in our lives that our worldview is a lie, it's not real, and something has happened to trigger us to turn away from it and to find something new, we almost always become the most extreme interpretation of our new hobby. And a good example of that, a positive example of that, are ex-Muslims. They're the ones who are the most outspoken about Islam because they've been through things and now they've discovered freedom. But the other side of the coin is when people...
Can you hear me? I think Mark and we...
Warren, your audio
nobody
is
can
very
hear you rubber
robotic.
banding. You're rubber banding. Nobody can hear you, and I'm not finished yet.
Yeah, Warren, your audio is really bad, and BJ
And
was,
Zeke, can you mute your microphone, please?
Actually, I have to go. It's been an hour and a half. I kind of gotta go, but
okay, Zeke.
I just want to say thanks to everyone for listening in, and thanks for inviting me, and just thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Zeke.
All right, anyways,
Thank you for being
Also,
here.
what's your final message for all the audience?
Well, again, just thanks for listening in. Thanks for providing some insight, and I'll definitely consider everything everyone was discussing. Um, Sorry to anyone who wanted to ask me some questions and didn't get a chance, but I really have to go now. So I
Zeke, before
appreciate
you
all
go,
of you.
Yeah, hope to see you
wait,
in later spaces, Zeke.
wait,
That was a high
Before
pleasure
you
to have
go,
you. But Armin,
Zeke,
can you
before
send me and Marie co-host invites if it's
Zeke,
okay?
yes, just a second,
Because
Zeke,
there are many people that I
one
have to
second,
bring up,
Warren,
and because
Warren,
you didn't see that
can you hear
many people
me?
are waiting
Oh my God, Warren,
for
can you just like, oh my God,
a
Warren,
Warren can't
chance.
hear anybody.
So thank
You've
you,
got to
Armin.
drop him down. He can't hear anyone.
Warren,
Marie got
you
dropped
keep speaking over me.
like error.
Zeke,
Like
oh my God, I wanted to say something to Zeke. Is he still here? Zeke, before you go,
Armin, can you hear
I know
me?
you have to go, but just really quickly. Okay, I need to put Warren down, I think, if he keeps speaking. Zeke, before you go, can you just look into Prince Reza Pahlavi?
Armin, can you hear me?
You guys can you guys hear me?
Just drop him
Yeah, we
down. We can
can.
hear you
That's
perfectly.
Warren.
Just drop Warren
Okay,
down.
okay, let me just.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Oh
Now
my God, how do I?
you'll hear me, and let me to be the co.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. Okay, Zeke, I'm sorry for this. Before you go, I just want to encourage you to look into Prince Reza Pahlavi, because he is the leader of the revolution against the Islamic Republic, and he's a friend of America and is a friend of Israel. And I think more Americans and Israelis need to be familiar with him, because the Islamic Republic is the enemy of United States and Israel, and the Iranian people want to change that, and their only hope is the leadership of Prince Reza Pahlavi. So, as somebody who's America first, I think one way to be America first is to support Prince Reza Pahlavi's revolution against the Islamic Republic. So, before you go, I just wanted to let you know to please research that if you get the chance. Okay, I think he heard that. I hope he heard that. Okay, but anyways, BJ, you were speaking.
Yeah, okay. So I'll get on to the second point, and please let me finish. I hate when people, it's important when people are getting through their points that they don't get their flow disrupted. I know we discussed that, on your podcast. But anyways, so yeah, the most extreme, the positive version of this extreme wiring, where people adopt a new framework of the world and become the most extreme interpretation of that framework, are ex-Muslims. Who've realized that they've discovered, the principles of freedom, and they become the most outspoken against this theocratic authoritarianism that they've been subjected to. Unfortunately, it also works the other way. And somebody like Tom, I'm glad you guys listened to him. He is a perfect example of scripted brainwashing. None of those opinions were his own. He was just regurgitating things that had been implanted in his subconscious over time, usually through repetition and through emotional messaging. That's how they grab them. And for example, we have a mosque in Canada, just outside of Toronto, where approximately 85% of the worshippers, they're all converts. Their names used to be Williamson and Robinson, and now it's Ahmed, Muhammad, and Muhammad, Ahmed, sort of thing. And that is just the degree of utilizing persuasion tools to brainwash people over time into a new framing of the world. And then when they adopt that new framing, well, they become the most extreme version. So Tommy there, he's ISIS. It's just what he is, unfortunately. And we have some professors in Canada, tenured professors, who are spokespeople for some of these Islamist organizations with Muslim Brotherhood ties. They are the same thing. They came from a Canadian background, and they got brainwashed. They got put into the system, and now they are the most extreme possible. Something else that's come up recently, and somebody I know I'm very close with, a long-time experienced journalist who's been digging into this. When they talked about there's a small percentage of the Muslim world who are extremists. Now, for me, it's very important to distinguish between, and Armin, we talked about this on your podcast, but I'm going to explain it for people here who didn't hear it. It's very important to distinguish between Islamists, which is what Tom is, what ISIS is, Muslim Brotherhood is, and Muslims. That's individuals. So the collectivist view of this collectivist philosophy of extremism, and individual Muslims who may or may not have ideas that we disagree with, but they're not going to act on it, and they're not here for the purpose of hijra to convert Dar al-Fukar, right? There's an organization, so the point I'm getting to is, it's just a small percentage of people in the Muslim world that harbor these values. There's an organization called Tabligh Jamaat. Have you ever heard of that, Armin? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, Tabligh Jamaat. Tabligh Jamaat Islami.
That's right. So that is an organization that regularly proselytizes, tries to convert people, tries to get existing Muslims to become more devout. And, some of their more prominent people from Tabligh Jamaat were Richard Reed, the shoot bomber, Khalif Ahmed, the Glasgow airport bombing, I think it was. Ahmed Jalani was an African bombing, if I'm not mistaken. And a long list of other people. Now, Tabligh Jamaat has 150 million members worldwide. 150 million members. And it is supposed to be, the veil is that it's a spiritual movement, but there seems to be an awful lot of people that have some pretty concerning and alarming views of the West in that organization. That is half the population in the United States, just in one organization that nobody is paying attention to. And the last thing, just to reinforce this idea, when I talk about Islamists and as kind of the extremist wing, the Hassan al-Banna interpretation of Islam, they are collectivists just like the communists. And that interpretation, that literalist interpretation, it strips people of their individualism, which is antithetical to Western Enlightenment values. That's why they hold alien values to the West. And somebody like Tom has been brainwashed into it, that he is now a collectivist within this sect of extremism. If it wasn't the Islamists, maybe the communists would have gotten him as well. And this is also why I think it's important for us. I think we talked a little bit about this as well. The tiresome binary view of the world, far right and far left, and I understand why we use that as a communication tool. I think we need to get away from it because I think it's causing more harm than good. It's very confusing. It is individualism versus collectivism. And the collectivists are the communists, the woke left, the Islamists, even the mid-century Germans that everybody obsesses over. These are all collectivist philosophies, whereas all of us here, we're all individualists. We'll have slightly different views and interpretations of the world. We'll argue with things on various topics, but they won't. It's absolute adherence and obedience to one set of values, which is completely alien to Western freedoms, in my opinion. I hope that helps. What do you think, Armin?
No, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Before I go to Pride Zionist Natalie, because she wants to speak, I just want to add one point. The good Muslims, who are huge in number, they're unknowingly providing cover for Islam, right? So they are, the fact that they're good people and they carry the name Muslim is actually a huge problem. So I don't deny their existence, and I acknowledge that they're good people, and I sometimes work with them. But at the same time, the fact that they're huge in number, and then the problem comes from Islam, and the people who want to push genuine Islam, they use good Muslims who are not following Islam as a way to confuse people about Islam. Like when I say Islam is evil, I look at the teachings, I show the teachings, and I say, look, this is purely evil. This is disgusting. But then people who want to spread Islam, knowing how evil it is, they pretend, they go, look at all of these good Muslims. I'm like, yeah, I know, I see them. They're not following what's written in this book. They're Muslims, but they're not following Islam. So
if I can just add to that, I agree with you 100%. The only thing is, I agree with the concern, and I get that. But you got to remember, it's really difficult for people when you grow up in a family. Like, people don't just get hatched out as of an egg and grow up on their own. There's family tribes that we all are a part of. There's people you grow up. You have an uncle that's a little crazy, and you have, a cousin who's like super lefty and whatever. Like, so we're also kind of governed by our family unit to a point, which makes it difficult for people to just go out and denounce. So what do? They cherry pick what they want to follow, and they cherry pick what they don't want to follow. And you see that a lot in the Jewish community, where there's, of the 613 commandments, most people maybe follow 2 or 4 or 10 or something like that. So I understand the concern, but it's really, those people are, I think, irrelevant. The focus needs to be on what seems to be a global crime syndicate operating around the world, involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, bribing politicians, creating fake NGOs, and planning terrorism and funding terrorism attacks around the world. That's the problem that needs to be addressed. And the legal structure can go after that if we understand that there's a difference between individual people who aren't engaging in that stuff versus the collectivist extremists. I know it's not perfect. I understand that. I get it. But we have to have something that's at least actionable right now,
So BJ, let me clarify, because I was an adult suggesting that we need to go after those people. Okay. And
I know that. I know. Yeah, I wasn't inferring that you would.
Yeah. And I also understand the reality of people are just follow what they're born into, and I don't expect much more from most people, right? I completely understand that, and that's why I say I have Muslim friends, and I actually work with Muslims on some of, and I mean, I've managed to find some Muslims who know I'm aggressively anti-Islam, and they're okay with that. So I know, and they're my friends. So we even have those types of Muslims who are like, oh yeah, you're anti-Islam, that's fine. So I know that. I meet Muslims like that. But so I'm not suggesting that we need to be anti these good Muslims, right? But when I'm
I'm not suggesting you do. I'm just suggesting for other people listening.
I'm also saying this for other people who are listening, right? So I know you didn't mean that, right? I just, what I'm saying is I'm just describing what's happening when it comes up so that people know when it comes up in an argument, to be able to separate that. So when I say the good Muslims are irrelevant, and also they're more like, actually they're being used to provide cover for how bad Islam is, my solution, I'm not suggesting that we need to be against these Muslims. I say that so that when in a discussion somebody brings them up as a way to try to provide cover for Islam, people understand what's happening. That's the only reason why I mentioned that. Yeah. Okay. So BJ also agrees.
I hear you. By the way, Warren is asking to be brought back up.
Okay, but Warren's mic is hard. Okay, I'll bring him back up. But Warren, if you're okay, so let me proud Zionist and Natalie, you could speak. Let me see if I could bring Warren up. But Warren, when I bring you up, please understand that your mic quality is so bad, and you seem not to be able to hear us when we're talking. So I'll bring you up. Right? Okay. So Natalie, also finally, Murray is here too. Murray, I don't know, I made you co-host a couple of times, but then you weren't co-host anymore after that. But now you're a co-host, so you could manage it now. But proud Zionist Natalie, for now you can speak while we wait to see if Murray will take over the co-host.
Yeah, I can't stay long. I think Warren wanted to come up to kind of introduce me. I don't know if he comes up in a bit to introduce me. He asked me to come into the space because it's an important space. I haven't got long, but I will add a few things. One, please don't listen to Tommy. Tommy's not just an extremist, but he is one, he pops into spaces, throws the space into absolute chaos, and then leaves. He's a Irish white convert to Islam. But surprisingly enough, he's a white supremacist convert to Islam. So he thinks all Islam should be white, and that he hates Arabs and anybody brown, basically. So everything that comes out of his mouth is an absolute joke. I won't go any further because you can see by that what kind of person he is. Please don't let him up. It's just to throw your space into chaos and just forever. Luckily, you did handle it very well, so good. Second point, I also wanted to come back at what he said about the dancing Israelis. There is no evidence of the dancing Israelis. There's one photo of actually some Israelis who were filming I think it was a dance show, or they were filming some sort of documentary. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can look into that. And also, to prove that 9/11 was terrorists, it's easy enough to not only see who did it, but you could also go back to 1993, where they had the Washington attacks there, where the attacks on the towers there, where they actually tried to blow it up from the bottom in 1993. They sent in, I think it was a van full of explosives. It failed, but it still did kill and injure quite a few people, but nothing on the scale of 9/11. So that was an attempted one. And I actually found out that one of the guys that had, I've got it here in front of me. Sorry. One of the guys was actually involved in the Mir Khan assassination. Mohammed Salama, is a Palestinian, convicted terrorist. So he did the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. You had Youssef, who was one of the main belligerents of the 1993 attack. His maternal uncle is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. He allegedly planned the Bajinka plot, was it? He was a senior Al-Qaeda member, and he was also accused of being the principal architect in 2001, the September 11th attacks. He was born in Kuwait to both Pakistani and Palestinian parents. Mahmoud Abu Halima, he was an Egyptian citizen, but obviously part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And it goes on more. All the belligerents effectively stem from Palestinians who were part of Al Qaeda. Now they'd all gone to Pakistan to train, and that is essentially what happened in 9/11. And so all of this propaganda that you're seeing nowadays against America, against boycotting the American goods, I'm not even 100% sure that it's even about Israel. What they're boycotting, McDonald's, Starbucks, Costa. There's no Costa or Starbucks in Israel because they can't compete with the local coffee because it's just so good. There's barely any McDonald's because McDonald's obviously is well known for not being kosher. There are some, and obviously they are kosher, but they don't do that well because Israeli food is so good and it can't compete. So all of these, Google and all these big companies are just about taking down the American economy. And I want everyone just to remember that this is a war against America. America is at the front of the war against terrorism. And this is what brings me on to my next point. Now, this is why I think Warren likes to listen to me. Now, I'm not Iranian. I don't have a finger in the game, or however you say that. I am I'm big pro-Shah. I'm big supporter. And people ask me why, because I'm not Iranian. I have nothing. I'm not actually Israeli. I'm just a British Jew. Right. And so people ask me, why do you support the Shah so much? Now, I'm able to see the future, as in logically, through sequences. Right. And we know that the IRGC is supporting terrorism worldwide. Now, I used to blame all Muslims for terrorism because if you look on the outset, you can see that there's so many terrorists that are Muslim. But nowadays, the world is changing, and this is through the IRGC funding so much in Qatar, obviously, with the Muslim Brotherhood. We can no longer just say Muslims, you know, it's all Muslims, that's it, go bomb them, because that's not how it's happening. In Saudi, they've banned the Muslim Brotherhood. In the Emirates and in the UAE, they've banned the Muslim Brotherhood. You know, most of these Arab countries have banned the Muslim Brotherhood and like Al Qaeda, and they know, you know, the danger that they will eventually, you know, the causes, what they're going to do, that, you know, how they're going to spread terrorism across the world. But what are we seeing, especially in my country, in the UK, where the woke, and we're talking about woke in Islam, right, versus Western values. The woke are supporting terrorism, and I think Godsod calls this the woke mind virus. And basically, it's where the woke are now feeling so guilty for the past, etc. They're supporting terrorism, which means they're supporting the IRGC, which means they are supporting Hezbollah and other you know, other terrorist organizations, because they're not understanding. They think they're making a difference, but in reality, they don't look at what's going on in Iran, for example, with the IRGC. They aren't looking at the little girls getting, you know, stolen, raped, killed. They aren't looking at, you know, the hundreds of people getting executed for no reason. They're not talking or looking at the fact that people don't have water and are barely able to afford food because the cost of a loaf of bread is higher than a week's or month's wage, you know, from what people tell me. What they think is they're supporting these terrorists because suddenly these terrorists have become victims. Since when did people become victims? When they are the belligerents of the evil throughout the earth. And this is all done by the IRGC. The IRGC has pushed all the propaganda. I've found journalists in the BBC that are basically IRGC moved over to Britain. We have IRGC members in Britain openly, you know, causing these, and the Muslim Brotherhood with these protests, etc. And that is, well, I'll try and land my plane. I'm a big, massive Shah supporter because there's, you know, we know that the world now is run by, you know, it revolves around Iran at the moment. Everything that we do in the future is going to revolve around Iran. Now, we can either have a world that is run by terrorism and the IRGC pushed out and taking over the Muslim world as well, which will then eventually end up in a huge world war. Or we can go with the Shah, who not only will open up Western diplomacy, right, and international relations and, you know, trade deals, and make not only the Iranian people live better, but the rest of the world, because of its you know, where it's situated. And that's basically how I'm gonna end my point, in the fact that he's the royal family. So when you have a non-British, so when you have a royal family, you have that name behind you, you have that support, that history behind you. And I do think if we do not act soon, and I do think that the IRGC is the central point. We can talk about Qatar later on, but the IRGC is the central point to the whole entire world's issues at the moment, and supporting terrorism. And that is why we need the Shah to come in and end that, end the propaganda, end the support for Hezbollah, Syria, etc. We need to do something now. It's no longer about the Iranian people. It's about the Iranian people and the rest of the world. Sorry, I've gone on a little bit.
No, that was actually really good. But Natalie, before, so when you mentioned the show, for other people to understand who you're talking about the third Pahlavi. You're talking about Prince Reza Pahlavi specifically.
Yes.
Current?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, because when you say Shah, a lot of people might think you're talking about Reza Shah or Muhammad Reza Shah, but you're talking about Prince Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former.
Yeah, I've always, sorry, I'm so used to being in Iranian spaces. Everyone's just like the Shah, the Shah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. No, I'm
I'm
actually
actually
just
really
want,
glad that she asked because I had no clue either. I'm sitting here like, well, I'm just gonna listen till somebody gives me a hint.
no,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
I think Natalie, you're
No, thank you.
100% correct. Yeah, no, that was really good. And yeah, Murray, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad I clarified, because what Natalie is saying is so true. I think most of the problems are coming from the Islamic Republic, and that's why Reza Pahlavi, Prince Reza Pahlavi, is the solution. Because I don't know if you guys want me to provide a little bit of a context regarding what's happening. So, as I mentioned earlier, this was a three-phase plan by, well, this is the third attempt done by, it's a three-phase plan, which is the third attempt to basically create a force in the Middle East against Western powers, right? So without the Soviet Union being against Western powers, something had to come take its place. And because it didn't, the Western powers managed to dominate the entire world right now. But what was supposed to take its place after during the Soviet Union was still in power, but also after it, the first attempt to create a bloc, an anti-Western bloc, were the Pan-Arabists. So they were Arab, but it wasn't much about Islam. It was about being Arab supremacists. So basically, it wasn't an Islamic movement. It was the Arab version of Nazism, right? By Jamal Abdel Nasser was their leader, and they were trying to create not an Islamic empire, but an Arab empire, because they were kind of socialist and secular, so they weren't very Islamic. And even the so-called the Palestinian cause initially was not Islamic as much; it was more Pan-Arabist, which was not much better. They were terrorists, but they were more about racial unity rather than Islamic unity. And then they realized that if they want to create this powerful bloc in the Middle East, they need to remove what they considered Western America's allies from the Middle East. And they thought that this would be so easy because it's such a tiny, small, little new country called Israel. So that obviously they thought that this is a tumor from the Western imperial power in the Middle East. So we need to get rid of this tumor so that we could create our Arab bloc in the Middle East, so that we could unite as an Arab. They weren't interested in creating separate nation states. They were trying to create an empire, right? Unite as a one Arab empire. But surprisingly to everybody, this tiny little country of Israel managed to defeat all of them all together twice. So they were absolutely humiliated. So much so that Jamal Abdel Nasser, I think he died from depression. So many people report, but he was humiliated. And after that, there was this attempt by Islamists. Then we had Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas being part of Muslim Brotherhood, trying to create the Sunni Caliphate. Basically, they reminded everybody that part of Islam is to be against Darul Kufr. So we have Darul Islam and Darul Kufr. So now the bloc, the new political bloc, anti-Western political bloc that was being formed, trying to be formed, was an Islamic one rather than an Arab one. And they failed. They didn't manage to become any Muslim Brotherhood wasn't able to become any serious government anywhere. They almost had the chance in Egypt, but they failed. But Muslim Brotherhood ideology managed to sneak into Iran through this guy called Navab Safavi. No relationship to me. I know I'm Navabi. He was Navab Safavi. And they created, so Muslim Brotherhood ideology was mixed with Esna Ashari version, the Vilayat Faqih Esna Ashari version of Shia Islam, which was basically, we call it Khomeinism. And the impact of some Muslim Brotherhood and 12er Shia Islam together created Vilayat Faqih version of Islam in Iran. So it's basically a Shia version of Muslim Brotherhood. So this is now the third attempt. So again, the Arabs tried to create a pan-Arab empire. They failed. The Sunnis tried to create an Islamic caliphate. They failed. And now the Shias are trying to create an Islamic imamate, not a caliphate, but an imamate. And that is the reason why they're trying to create a Shia crescent. The Islamic, ever since the beginning of the Islamic Revolution in 1979, the intention was clear that this is not for Iran. This is not for the sake of Iran. This is for Islam. Khomeini himself is famous to say that nationalism is anti-Islamic. Anybody who says I'm Iranian first and Muslim second, he's not a Muslim at all. Anybody who says I'm Iranian first, Muslim second, he's not a Muslim at all. It doesn't, nationalism and patriotism, he's considered to be completely anti-Islamic, and you shouldn't be fighting for Iran, you should be fighting for Islam. He hated patriotism, and he didn't care about the borders of Iran. He cared about the world of Islam, and he from day one made it very clear that the intention is to export the revolution beyond the borders of Iran. That's why the Islamic Republic to this day considered itself revolutionary. Even though their 1979 revolution is over, that was just phase one, to remove the Pahlavi, which they considered allies of the West in Iran. Now phase two is to remove Israel, which was allies of the West in the Middle East. And phase three is to go basically for the head of the beast, which is always the intention, which is United States. The old goal has always been the United States. These are the Pahlavi was just in the way, and now Israel is in the way. And to Natalie's point, if we manage to bring back Pahlavi in Iran, not only would they not be able to move to phase two, they would actually go back on phase one. So not only they didn't move Israel from the Middle East, we managed to bring Pahlavi back to Iran, which will be basically the end of this project. This would be the end of, like, I'm sure we will have Islamic forces causing terrorism around the world that will continue. But this whole plan, this was the third time, this was the third attempt, and if it fails, it's game over. That's why supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi is the end of threatening Israel with annihilation. And not only that, not only all these terrorists around the Middle East will lose their main support, it's actually worse it's worse than that, because then Iran and Israel will unite their forces against these Islamic terrorists in the Middle East. And yeah, I'm sure they will still be able to do an attack here and there, but nothing ever close to resembling to what we have right now. Israel, we will, the whole world will at that point will know that Israel lives, and Israel will continue to live forever. Natalie, did you want to add something before we move to other people? I see you have your hand.
I was actually just gonna say thank you so much for clarifying quite a bit of that. And
Oh, you got muted.
Hey, can I add some? Hey, can I add something?
No,
Because I went to
let me
Wait,
see.
sorry. I just put up my hand to say goodbye. Sorry, I have to rush off. But I'll definitely join your spaces another day. Warren pulled me out of my space to join
thank
yours.
you so much for coming. Really, like,
Yeah, that was
seriously,
great. Thank you,
please
Natalie.
come again. We would love to have you.
I'd like
Yeah,
to
I'll
point out,
definitely
I'd like
be
to
back.
point out
Send
that
it to
the
me.
collapse,
Thank
that
you,
the
Nat.
fall of the Islamic Republic will cause a soft reboot to the world in a similar fashion
I'm
to
sorry, who's speaking
media
right now?
franchises. What do you
Yeah,
think?
who's speaking? Who's
It's
speaking? I don't even
glitching on
see.
me. I can't tell. There's a lot going on. Is this no quarter? You know what? We're trying to say goodbye to somebody. You just have to wait your turn. I know this guy.
Who was speaking?
Yeah,
It's
Marie,
no quarter memes. He's put his hand back up. He's gonna wait. It was lovely to talk to you, yeah, and I hope you come to our future spaces.
yeah, I've seen you guys in many other spaces, but Twitter seems to have made me unfollow everyone, which is very annoying because I used to be in their spaces all the time. But yeah, send it to me. I've followed you. Next space, no problem. Send it to me. I'll be in.
Thank you, Natalie.
I just followed you
Thank
back.
you.
We will. I'm not entirely sure when we're going to do it yet, but we'll get back to you on that. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, I'll see you later. It's been a great space, guys. I'm sorry I didn't have much time.
That's okay. Next time, though. Bye.
Bye, Natalie. Okay.
All
So,
right.
Murray, who's
No
gonna?
quarter. No quarters, just itching to speak. And then I saw someone's name that I can't pronounce. with the red nose symbol through it, that guy's after no quarter memes, or his hand was up.
Okay, okay. And then maybe after
Yeah, I
that,
can't believe.
but go on, no
Yusuf
quarter.
something.
Yeah, Yusuf. But no
Yeah,
quarter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I can't believe Marie would say I interrupted someone. That's so rude of you, Marie.
You
Mic
know
check,
what?
please.
I'm trying to watch my language because this is streamed across multiple platforms, but do not start with me.
You know I love
Hi.
you, baby.
I love you too. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, so I just wanted to interject. I've heard a lot of different things, and I jotted down a few notes, but all across the board, let's just be honest. This is a straight up propaganda war for the American military. I mean, that's what this is. Like, you can say, oh, Muslims this and Christians that and woke this, but really everyone is driving for our military. That's what they want. They want us to fight on their side. So this is like I don't want to say like a 5th gen warfare, but it kind of is. Like, this is an informational
You're
war.
not wrong. You're not entirely wrong. So I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, and if I can just pop off for another like 90 seconds, I'll save my piece and I'll leave.
No,
And
go for it, by all means.
Thank you so much. I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard a lot of things that are based on lies, but basically America, we are the superpower of the world. And so everyone wants our military. They want our economic zone. They all want to come here. They all want to take over. But honestly, it doesn't come down to like Christian or Judaism or any of that stuff. We're a Christian country. That's what we are. And so we care about ourselves. We don't care about terrorism. That's based in fear, not faith. We're a Christian country. We know what faith is. And so when someone says, oh, it's terrorism here and terrorism, we don't care. Like, you go take your shoes off in your own country. Don't come to my country and tell me I have to take my fucking shoes off. That's it. That's kind of what I wanted to say. And one last thing, if you want to find out like who runs you, who controls you, find out who you can't question. You know, Muslims are not in control of the colleges. They're not in control of our government. They're not in control of Hollywood. They're pretty much not in control of anything. Our media, all of those people that you think are the terrorists are not who you think. So, you know, one last point I'll just make, Marie, if you allow me, is that we've given $17 trillion to a tiny little pea stain in a desert. And what have they given us? Lies, all lies. That's all I'll say. They won't give us the truth. They just say terrorism, fear. That's all they do. And so thanks for the mic, guys. I'll keep listening.
Okay, first, let me just, before BJ responds to this, let me just say that you keep talking about the Jews, but most people are not afraid to be anti-Jewish. It seems like you're the one who's afraid, because I see people speak against the Jews in Israel all over the internet. Like, if you want to see who controls you, watch who you cannot speak against. Well, my entire social media feed is anti-Jewish nonsense. So I don't know. It seems like you're the only one. You just kept on saying you're spreading a lot of anti-Jewish nonsense, and you're the one who you're the only one who's afraid to actually mention their name. So just because you're a coward, don't blame other people. For other people are just mentioning Jews left and right. Also regarding we don't care. So I don't know who made you the representative of all Americans, but no, Americans really do care about terrorism. Just because you don't care, that doesn't mean other Americans don't care. And terrorism really impacts America, and terrorism all around the world impacts America, because the terrorists that are doing their terrorism all around the world, they want to actually come to America and do their terrorism in America. And yeah, Muslims are not in control. Yeah, and that's why we want to keep it that way, because if they were in control, things would be a lot shittier. And one reason why Muslims are not in control, Islamic forces, let's say, they're not in control, is because Israel is stopping them every time they try to get in control. So thank Israel for stopping Islamic forces from gaining control. Regarding what have they ever done for us? For Americans, well, they have killed America's enemies, and they have, United States might have given money to Israel but Israel has given their blood for Americans. They have fought, they have given their lives fighting America's enemies. Regarding there was one thing else that you mentioned regarding. Well, I'll think. Well, let me see. BJ wanted to say something. Let me actually think about the other thing. That BJ, you wanted to respond to that?
Yeah, I appreciate the mic.
Just
Go ahead.
quickly, I think that's a perfect example. What we just listened to, that is a perfect example
Hey,
of.
BJ,
Can
hang on
somebody
just
just let me finish without interrupting me? I really would appreciate it.
he had asked if you wanted to respond.
I can't hear when you.
No, Mary. I've said BJ also wanted to respond to No Quarter. So let's see if BJ wanted to.
Oh, I thought you were asking if No Quarter wanted to respond. I apologize. That's the only reason I interrupted BJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah,
go ahead, Armin. Go ahead, say it. Just go ahead.
Okay, I just remembered what I wanted to say. When No Quarter said that everybody wants our army, well, that's good for America that people want your army, because America made a powerful army so that it becomes appealing for people to want it on their side. So America could offer their support in exchange for having economic influence all around the world. So the fact that so many countries around the world want America's support, they want America's support behind them, that's good for America, and America could use that as a way to gain leverage all around the world. That's not anti-American. That's actually a win-win situation for both sides. But go on, BJ, sorry.
Yeah, I think what we just listened to, that is a perfect example of hardcore leftist collectivism with a mask of conservatism, but it's not even close. This is as left-wing as the Antifa progressives. This is Duginism in America, the philosophical rot tearing apart people of faith in service to Islamists as a distraction. And these are the people who fall for it. Just like Tom, it's the same idea, it's same collectivist world frame, but he's basically ISIS with a cross. That's all he is. And these are not his opinions. He is programmed through repetition to see this, because what people like this do is they fall victim to their confirmation bias. They don't understand that the internet is a confirmation bias machine. So they fall victim very quickly and easily to complete nonsense. You want to call them conspiracies, fabrications, whatever they are. He says nothing about the tens of billions of dollars that have been given to the Pakistani ISI. This is nothing about the billions of money of dollars that have been smuggled out of the United States for Muslim Brotherhood infrastructure that have colonized places like Dearborn, Michigan. That he doesn't care about. But he's got a Jew fetish, because the Jew fetish has been programmed into him, and it'll take a while for somebody like that to get out of the echo chamber. But what he'll do is he'll just go online and he'll find more what he would call evidence to confirm his confirmation bias. I know I've dealt with a lot of people like this before. I've helped some people get out of this, but it's just hypnosis is the suspension of critical thinking, and that's what you're thinking. That's what you're hearing out of him. So and that's why even the word selection that he uses of other people who hold such stupidity in their brains, they use the exact same words and phraseology because they've been programmed that way and they don't realize it. So if anything, he's a victim.
You keep referring to him in the third person. I would like to say he is here and said that he would be willing to stay and listen. Perhaps instead of discussing him in that manner, you could actually talk with him and have a conversation. It sounds like
I don't know his name, so I don't even know his name. He's an anon account, so I don't really care.
Okay, I'm just saying he's still here. Talking about him in the third person doesn't
irrelevant to the merits of my argument. It's irrelevant to the merits of my argument.
All right. Well, anyways, Armin, I do have to leave. It has been a pleasure. I actually had to leave at 4, so thank you very much. And No Quarter, good luck to you, BJ. Thank you for coming. It has been fun, everyone.
Marie. Thank you so much, Mary, for co-hosting. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'll also made BJ. I made you a co-host, but no quarter. Did you want to respond?
Yeah, if I can just give in my 2 cents. The guy's name is BJ. Not to disparage that, but I would choose a different name. The bottom line is we're not playing your games anymore. We understand what you are. We see what you are, and you're trying to take over our country. You want our military, and I understand we're the most vicious people on the planet, but you can't come in a space and disparage what I say with fact. Like, I'm just dropping facts and you just say, oh, well, this guy is programmed or he's this way and he wants to do this thing. No, we're Americans and we're Christians and we don't care what you say. If you want to come into our country and try to take over us, we have the most guns of any country. So please, I mean, you know, keep spouting your stuff, but it's coming. It's going to come. That's all I have to say.
So that is, there's something when people get into this emotional rage, it's called the 7 signs of cognitive dissonance. Number 1 is they change the topic. Number 2 is that ad hominem, which is what he started with. Number 3 is mind reading, which he did a little bit of as well. Word salad. Analogy instead of a reason. He didn't do any analogies. It's too complicated to explain, or they'll go into a straw man and they'll start something with you. So you're saying these are perfect patterns of indicators of somebody who is suffering extreme brainwashing. And this is why he's so collectivist in his worldview. He didn't add anything new. All he did is repeated what he was programmed to say before.
Wow, you're on fire today, but that was amazing. By the way,
It's
you're
not my first rodeo, man.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. And by the way, you're Vijay, you're the co-host, so you could decide who speaks next. But go ahead.
All right, let's go to John. John's been up for a while, and then we'll go to Mikey.
Oh, I think I'm the most recent one up here, but I just mainly came
Okay,
up
then
'cause
screw
I
off,
heard-
John. We'll come back to you. Whatever you want. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, all right, cheers. Armin, first of all, hello. I think it's the first time we've spoken. I know we follow each other. I've watched your YouTube stuff for a good few years now. So good to speak to you. BJ, hello, mate. Obviously
Hello.
spoke last night. So, yeah, a couple of things. I mean, I came up here actually partly, and I apologize because I've missed a lot of the space. I would have liked to listen to it. I did post something in the nest to put, first of all, in response to, I mean, it's gone now, but if I can do it again, because it addresses, this guy said, what has Israel done for us or America? That's just a few key points up there that Ridvan's posted. That's the first point I wanted to say. I didn't really come up here to talk about that, but since you went in that direction, and I am Jewish, so obviously it's personal to me as well. But I actually came up here to speak in relation to what's happening in the UK, because today, Angela Rayner, our second in command, has basically resigned, stepped down due to a scandal. And there is a lady in the UK who goes by the name of Shabana Mahmood, who is now the new Home Secretary. So just for clarification, David Lammy, who is an absolute moron, he is going to be the Deputy Prime Minister, second in command. But Shabana Mahmood, who is a Pakistani Muslim, she will now be the new Home Secretary, taking place of Yvette Cooper. And she will now influence the government's definition of Islamophobia. She has previously supported the Muslim Council of Britain and endorsed the dangerous APPG definition of Islamophobia. She's also goes on these pro-Palestine rallies, very anti-British, anti-Western in general. So, you know, it's funny because I'm often told as a Brit that Zionists control Britain, and I don't see it. More and more Jews in the UK are leaving. We are the most targeted people in the UK right now. If you have your eyes open, my friend, you'll see what's actually going on here. And every time in the streets, and by the way, Armin, I stand in solidarity with the Iranian people. I've been on protests with, and they stand in solidarity with the Jewish people. So we have a common enemy. And you know, the thing is, I don't see this thing that that Jews, for example, Zionists, whatever, because we know that when you say Zionists, you really mean Jews. although the far right are a bit more open about their hatred for Jews, the far left kind of just go on about Zionists. It ultimately is classic horseshoe. It's not a thing. It's certainly not a thing over here. I kind of wish it was a thing. I wish we had more influence, but it's not. And Keir Starmer, who is an absolute clown, by the way, which I think everyone agrees with, he is looking to recognize a Palestinian state very soon, which is like the equivalent of rewarding ISIS. So I speak from this perspective in the UK. I'm not an expert in America, but I know it's all bollocks over there, all bullshit. So it's interesting to hear you, because I think that your ignorance should be exposed, and I am very pro free speech. But that's all for the time being. Thanks.
I just really want to appreciate you saying that about the Iranian people, and also given that you do support the Iranian people, I also want to encourage you to look into Prince Reza Pahlavi, because one thing Westerners and Israelis could do right now, this is the most effective way to support the Iranian people, would be to support Prince Reza Pahlavi at this moment. And he's pro-Western, he's pro-American, and he's pro-Israel. And by the way, just his team just yesterday went to Israel to have a plan for what to do after the Islamic Republic falls. So Reza Pahlavi's team is very pro-Israeli, and maybe I'm going to do a show soon regarding what Reza Pahlavi's team did in Israel. So I encourage everybody to just follow that news, because I think Reza Pahlavi is the key to all of these problems. So I want more people here to also be encouraged to look him up.
I back the Crown Prince. I've known about him for quite a while, and yeah, I've done spaces with Iranians and everything. So yeah, 100%, I'm with you. Yeah, totally.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And a quick thing I just want to add to you, Mike, the reason this is so important is because the people who get brainwashed by the Tucker Carlson, Ian Carroll circle jerk of the Jewish conspiracies, they end up running cover for the Muslim Brotherhood, Jamaat Islami, and all the proxy organizations that have embedded themselves in Western politics, which is what has led to you having an Islamist as your home secretary, but they say nothing about it. That's why it's so important to wake some of these people up. And not everybody can be, but I have had some success with some people who I got to know over a long period of time who finally understood where the real threat to America is. So there is hope. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is they don't even think of the concept that there's an outside threat when it comes to these type of people. And I've talked to a lot of them. Their problem with Jews is always going to come back to like a political reason, and they're blaming Jews as a whole for everything they don't like on the other side of the politics they view. So like anything to the left is blamed on Jews. Ruining movies, ruining Hollywood, ruining video games, with like DEI stuff. This is all the Jews. They don't blame other people for this. Even though, statistically speaking, by number, most of these people are white women, and unfortunately, these people are not very good at telling their own women to not do the things they hate so much, to the point that they'll say it about Jews. Because all these things they say about Jews, they can easily say about other white women. They never would dare to, though. And by the time the women hit like 30, 35, they end up just getting married. Everyone forgives and forgets. And then the next generation does the whole fucking cycle again. And now you have people like the Quartering here hiding behind Christian values and saying all this bullshit on the internet, when I promise you, he probably doesn't even go to church. And if he does, good for him. But like, if you do, you're really not acting very Christian-like, considering if I'm assuming another one of your problems is like the browning of America or immigrants. And just so we're both clear here, the number one group of people doing that are the Christians, not the Jews.
And you know what always makes what always puts a smile on my face, because he addressed this with me. Apparently, I'm part of some cabal. I'm adopted. I am as Anglo-Saxon as they come. I am more white than he is, likely. And you know, I love when they do the white
BJ,
heritage.
my family's from Prussia. It doesn't even exist anymore because of their involvement in Nazi Germany. And these people run around telling me I'm not white. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's ridiculous. And it's, when they do the, under their, the white America. Well, okay, what's your background? Are you Scots-Irish? Are you Quaker? Are you Yankee? Are you Southern? Like the whole idea of it's just white America, that is hardcore collectivism. That is as close to communism with a cross as you can get, because there are various white cultures that settled America, and they didn't like each other. They finally
and their
created
ancestors would be ashamed because you're not respecting your culture. This thing you hate about the Jews, you could have it yourself. You just have to value your own culture then. Care about your people.
All right, Armin, you want to throw in something before
No,
we go
I
to
just
someone
want to
else?
mention that this whole blaming the Jews, there's an incident where there was this guy who it went viral after he said that. He lost his shoe and he actually came out and blamed Mossad for it. Have you guys heard the meme now? Mossad stole my shoe. So that's how ridiculous it has gotten. The guy lost his shoe and he blamed Mossad for stealing it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the only intelligence service outside of the CIA they've ever heard of, because they've never read a book. If they understood how the world really worked, they would worry about Iranian intelligence service, the Muslim Brotherhood intelligence service, the ISI, the FSB, the Chinese intelligence service. But they know nothing about it because they're lazy.
Yeah, it's actually very convenient where you blame all the world's evils on one thing, because that simplifies things and you don't have to then deal with the complexity of the world. It's good to just
it's called magic answers. You know, many years ago, when I was heavily involved in conservative politics, I asked an intelligence analyst who I ended up working with. I said to him, "Can you explain to me from a governmental intelligence analysis perspective, what is with all this Jewish conspiracy crap?" And this guy's very, very Christian, by the way, very Christian. And he said to me, "Oh yeah, it's pretty simple. The world is very complex and is very difficult for a lot of people to comprehend, and they suffer from anxiety. So those people who suffer from anxiety, they're worried about their culture, they're worried about their country. They want one magic bullet. Just give them one answer, one thing to fix, and that fixes the entire world. Unfortunately, that is fantasy thinking." He said, "But you'll find that very common among low IQ people. They cannot process the complexity of the world, and they get frustrated, so they just want a simple magic answer," and that's what we see.
Yeah, and that's why so many conspiracy theories eventually merge, because people who believe in these conspiracies, it's really complicated to have them all at the same time. So that's why at some point the Zionists and the globalists and the Satanists and the Illuminati, they become the same entity because it's just too complicated to hold them all at the same time. So the Illuminati and the Zionists and the Satanists are basically the same people at some point. That's why. Yeah. So BJ,
okay, let's go to some hands that have been waiting for a while. We got Yusuf. Yusuf, who hates the Islamic Republic.
Yes, I do hate the Islamic Republic. I'm not
Bravo,
Iranian.
brother.
I'm not Iranian. I'm half European and half Southeast Asian, but I have been talking about what's happening in Iran because it's a human rights issue. Anyways, I'm waiting for the Islamic Republic to collapse this year because I really hope it does. And if the Islamic Republic collapses, it will cause a soft reboot of the world, like it's gonna reboot the world, but human civilization will not start over completely. It continues on, but there would just be a brand new era. It's like the soft reboot of a media franchise. Think of it. Yeah, think of it as a media franchise that does a soft reboot. So if the Islamic Republic collapsed, there will be a soft reboot of the world because when the Islamic Republic collapses, it will be erased from this universe. And what I could say is besides making Iran great again, we should also make Iran clean again because of how much pollution there is in the environment of Iran that needs to be cleaned up. So make Iran great again and make Iran clean again. And I hope other people follow the promote the hashtag make Iran clean again. And Armin, I got something to ask you, but can you at some point go live with Drew Pavlo? He's one of the best activists from Australia, and he holds many views in common with you. Like he's pro-Israel, he's pro-West, and he's against the CCP and IRGC, and he's
Okay,
also against Putin.
Message me his account. I follow you now on X, so message me his account. I will look into him. Yeah, maybe you could help.
Nice.
Yeah, but let me actually mention that if you want the Islamic Republic to fall, then the best way to figure out how to do that is to look at what the Islamic Republic fears, right? So
Yes.
the Islamic Republic has become weaker and weaker and weaker, and in its desperation, it has loosened up a lot on many of the restrictions they had before, and in fact, it's using it, right? So when it comes to hijab,
the boss enemy from a video game.
Let me just make this point, okay? Because this is an important. This is an important point, okay? So right now in Iran, there's still some pushback against people not wearing their hijab, but not as much as before. In fact, there are elements of the government that are actually using non-hijabi women to show that maybe we're not that bad. There are many restrictions that are being lifted because the Islamic Republic knows that they're struggling to survive. So they're trying to signal to the Iranian people and to the world that, hey, maybe we could be better. So maybe you could live with us and don't topple us. But I mean, both Israel and the Iranian people know that that's just for show, and they are absolutely this is only because they see the writing on the wall, and that's why they're behaving this way. But in such a climate where the Islamic Republic is basically allowing on purpose some things in Iran to happen where it didn't before, this is actually a good way for us to see what are their red lines now, right? Given that the Islamic Republic wants to do this propaganda that maybe we're not that bad, and they are retreating on many of the things that used to be their red lines, the remaining red lines that they are still to this day, even though they're at the edge of collapse, they're still insisting on are the things that they cannot tolerate at all. So in Iran, the two things right now that would immediately get you in serious trouble and very likely executed is not taking off your hijab, not criticizing the government, not even criticizing Islam as much as before. So those are not the red lines in Iran as relative to before. What are the red lines in Iran is supporting Israel and supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi. So by those are basically anybody in Iran who's supporting Israel or supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi, they are like true, really brave heroes right now, right? Because that's the taboo thing that you're not supposed to do right now. But the good thing is that the Islamic Republic is signaling to us and the rest of the world what it fears the most by showing us what the red lines are today. So if you are against the Islamic Republic, you need to support Israel and you need to support the Iranian people, and you could support the Iranian people by supporting their main leader, which is Prince Reza Pahlavi. Anyways, that was my.
I like Prince Reza Pahlavi. He's
And before you
great.
say, I just want to say something. Yusuf, I just want to say something. So, before you go ahead, I just want to say Nathan. And Nathan is one of my greatest friends. If you can bring him up. Also, BJ, I sent something to you, and as a co-host, so you.
What am I in trouble now? What I do?
No, just check the message that I sent. Also,
Okay.
Isaiah was here. Also, I dropped down because was here.
Okay.
He just come back now, and Armin is also a great person. He's had radio apostate, and yeah, one of the most informed people on
Nathan who? Nathan Bailey?
No, Nathan and Carter. Isaiah was here, but I believe Nathan. Yes, Nathan is one of the greatest space hosts that I met. He's one
Warren,
of the
can you
great.
get them to send invites because I can't see them. I
Yeah.
can't find them.
Yes, send invite to Nathan and Rasmus. You can send. I'm not the co-host. You are the co-host.
Can they request? Maybe they need to request because there's many people here.
Yeah, I can't see them, man. I can't. They need
So
to request.
you can see Rasmus. His account is so big.
Yeah, but we don't see that.
Bro, all I see is icons, man. I just see little icons.
Yes, they should
It's the
do
one with the
request.
laser eyes, BJ.
It'd be so much easier if people just put in requests. Okay,
Yeah, ask them. Yeah, please ask them to just put in the request. That would be easier.
So you know, like if you send requests, it's easier because I don't know. I've always sent requests to Rasmus when he was in my spaces. So yeah, I think you do this.
I think it would be easier if they just put in the request so that we could see which person in the list they are, because we don't see their numbers, we don't see their follower. Like you're saying, it's a big account. Well, we don't see their follower numbers here in the space. Anyways, we're moving away from the conversation. So ask them to request.
Armin, one quick thing. I only got a few more minutes to go. I was going to suggest maybe send John a co-host. He's pretty good at that, but that's up to you. But for another 10, 15 minutes tonight, I'm going to be doing a space at 8 o'clock with Ron Yost, who is an intelligence analyst, and we're going to be laying out or mapping out the narco-terrorism war that has just started, and Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, and what's happening right now with American foreign policy around that issue. And it is related to this because in the West is the war on drugs and the war on terrorism, same war. They never ended. And if you spend some time in Latin America, you can really see it. So he'll explain that to you. So if you want to come, please join. Okay. Let's go to, you do anon accounts. By the way, anon accounts annoy me so much, Armin. I mean, you as well. I've been dragged through the mud and the meat grinder of the global international media. And guess what? I'm still here. People know my name. Nothing happens. So like, unless you're in Iran, if you're outside of Iran, you should be using your name. Just a little pet peeve. All right. Let's go to this anon account. Ad Astra, go ahead.
Ad Astra.
Ad Astra, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Sketch therapy.
Okay, I scared you. All right. What's up?
Hi. I think you're talking about me. It's Noam.
No.
Yeah. I'm not an anonymous account.
That's why I went to you. I was going to go to you first, man.
Thank you. So I'm an Israeli Jew. I live in Israel. I grew up in the States half of my childhood. And I wanted to respond to No Quarter. I don't think he's with us anymore, but there are some things
Sorry,
that he
I
said
fixed
that are...
my mic.
I'm sorry? Oh.
But I'll hang back and let finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ad Astra. So some of the things that No Quarter said, like you very eloquently explained, BJ, are basically irrefutable because they're not truthful statements. They're just structured in a way to make it impossible to refute. Kind of like, the classic, the king of France is bald, or there's an expression in Hebrew, go prove you don't have a sister. Like, how do you prove a negative, right? But there are some things that he said that I think did on a factual basis. So a lot of it has to do also with the framing. So first of all, Israel and America are allies. That means that they benefit each other economically, politically, militarily, and obviously Israel wants to continue to benefit from that relationship. And at the same time, he asked, what benefit has Israel provided to the U.S.? So Israel has provided a lot of benefit. Technology that guy uses to communicate with this group has, to some extent or another, Israeli technology in it. The military technology as well, that, America invests money, but it's invested on a credit system where Israel has to spend it in, most of it
Is
in America with joint.
the audio is choppy for me. Is it choppy for you as well?
Sorry,
No, it's okay. It's okay.
am I rubber banding or something?
No, I hear you perfectly.
Okay, sorry.
But BJ still didn't work. So could you do the favor? Also, I just want to say, if anyone hasn't reposted, please repost the space. And it's a great space going on. So yes.
Warren, I
Okay,
need to go
so-
soon. Should I? What do I do if I need to go? Do I just leave the space on?
Yeah, you end the space if you leave, right? If you shut it down, it's done.
Yeah, you end the space if you leave. But that's a good start for the spaces, because that's the first Speak Serious space that Armin had, and I think we
Warren, let Noam finish his point. Just let him finish his point.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, so the also the military technology that's co-developed with America is also owned by both Israel and America. So things like the Iron Dome and a lot of other technologies are actually co-owned with the U.S., and the U.S. uses to defend its own troops. Another point that I want to make about the military relationship is that no American soldier has ever died for Israel. Israel fights its own battles, and it does benefit from American assistance. For example, with the B-2 bombers on the Iranian nuclear facilities, and obviously with replenishment of armaments and things like that. But all of that money is spent back in the U.S., and it's used by Israel to fight its own. Israel was a bastion of American democracy for decades. Ever since America lifted the embargo, I guess like in the 60s, I think, or 50s, I don't quite remember. Another point I want to make is that's about the relationship between Israel and the states and the benefits that Israel gives the states, but actually about the Islamism, Muslim terrorism. It's not just Israel that there's terrorism. So that dog whistle is very ineffective to Israelis, because Israel, we see ourselves as in a fight for our survival. So if you don't, we can understand and benefit, we just can't really, identify, we can't really listen to what you're saying. But if you ignore the people that you're talking about, not just the Israelis, sorry, this is nonsensical. Let me be much about this. The monarchic Arab Muslim countries in the Arabian Gulf, like Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and the UAE, and a couple of crack down on, I should say, Islamist terrorism like Al-Qaeda and similar organizations much, much more fiercely than Israel ever did. Israel has 20% Arab citizens, voting citizens who are part of our culture. There's no apartheid. There are doctors and pharmacists and lawyers and accountants. They are in our parliament and our Knesset. They are full-fledged citizens with full rights. There is prejudice, there is bias in Israel, but it's not a perfect system, but they are very much part of our culture and society, and we love them, and they're part of us. Some of them even choose to fight in our army, in our defense. When Hamas attacked on October 7th, they killed just Jews. They killed foreign workers. They kill who are not Jewish and are unrelated except as economic, temporary economic migrants. Bedouins, that is Muslim Arabs, Israeli citizens, and a lot of other people who are also not Jewish or Israeli. So the point I'm trying to make is that the fight that America, the reason that Israel in particular wants America's assistance is not just to defend Israel. It's obviously a big part of it, but it's also to defend America against Islamism. I'm not talking about Islam. I'm not talking about Muslims.
No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
So sorry to interrupt because I need to go soon, and there were a couple of other people who wanted to speak.
All right,
everything is amazing. I really apologize that I'm interrupting. I don't want to interrupt you because everything you're saying is amazing, but because I need to go soon, and there are a few other people that need to
I understand. I understand. So let me just make one last point. Very, very short. I think that a big you talked about is about structural issue. People arguments based on structures that they feel are they feel true, are just structured, makes it impossible to argue against. And the only way to fight that, in my opinion, go on the offensive and explain real facts. And I'll stop there. Thank you for the mic.
Thank you so much. And I don't know what's happening on my end because the audio is getting really choppy for me. So I'm not even like it's getting choppier and choppier. And I think like you guys are hearing each other fine. And I don't know why it's getting so choppy to me. But BJ, I don't know how these spaces work. But is it normal for people to add a time limit because I think like maybe in future streams, future spaces, we should give like a 2-minute time limit to everybody. Does that make sense?
That's usually what I do when we get to towards the end of the space, have everybody button it up in a couple of minutes. I just want to add one thing to Noam because he's important and something that I deal with in kind of the Bitcoin libertarian spaces. And maybe this simplifies the argument that Noam's trying to make. The Ron Pauls of the world can't suck and blow at the same time. You can't complain that we spent $1 trillion in Afghanistan and got nothing for it. But then when you issue credit to Israel to fight the battle for you, you also complain at the same time. You got to pick one. Either you're going to waste all of your money in places like Afghanistan, or out to people who really understand this battle, and they are the front line against this theocratic authoritarianism that is sweeping across the world. I think that's what you're trying to get at with your argument. But no. If you're available,
open societies versus totalitarian societies. That's the basic structure.
Okay, John, let's button it up in a couple of minutes, then we'll go to Warren, and then we'll shut everything down.
I mostly came in this space because I just want to tell Armin I really appreciate some of his stuff just this past week, like his space, and then a small clip or two here and there, and then his debate space yesterday. Before I was like trying to share out his space, but for some reason every time you open up a space it doesn't have like a little purple pill and it's a share it around, so I don't actually know if there's a way to fix that or not, but just keep up the great work. And when it comes to these people that like Noam's talking about, it doesn't matter, they don't actually care that much about Israel. To some half the Jews in America, they're probably not going.
Guys, I don't know what's happening with the audio. Should I end it on
there's
YouTube?
Probably more in America, but either way, these people talk about a merit-based society and then try to do collective punishment on Jews. The only group of people, by the way, that I'm not allowed to collectively punish other group of people. Could do it very, very easily
guys,
if I wanted to. No one will,
the stream on
because
YouTube,
it doesn't make any
the
sense.
audio is really choppy. Okay, love you guys. Don't forget to like and
all right, Warren,
subscribe.
Go ahead, man.
Let's see if the audio is better.
So can everyone hear me? So I just want
we
to
can
point
hear you
out
perfectly, loud and clear.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Warren, before you speak, I'm just going to end the YouTube stream because the audio is for me. My end is coming very choppy. So let me just say goodbye to my audience on YouTube. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. I'm going to do more of these spaces on X and live stream them on YouTube. And I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Okay, so I'm Israel Chai and Javid Shah. Thank you, guys. All right, so ending the stream. All right, Warren, go ahead. I end the stream.